Boop. Hello, everybody. Well, yeah, so this has been quite the week overall. Very large changes at Blizzard, directed by Microsoft. Overall, it seems that Warcraft is perhaps the least impacted thing. Other things do appear to be impacted quite a bit more. There's a lot to break down. And certainly morale will not be in a good place over there.
What makes you say that? What makes you think morale might in any capacity be affected by being acquired and then having entire departments destroyed and projects cancelled?
Well, actually, I think it's because Mike Ybarra is leaving so that he can engage in hyper-growth opportunities, and they were probably hoping that his expertise would allow them to be the hyper-growth opportunity. We'll get to that LinkedIn post shortly.
Remember when just growth was fine? Remember that?
The line, it's not just line go up. It is line must be steeper.
Yeah, it's like how, what angle is the line supposed to be at? Is it like, that's a wee 45 degrees? Nah, we need a 1 degree line from north or it's nothing. We need completely made up numbers. We need zeros added on every day or it's not enough. And you go, okay. I mean, I thought there were certain kinds of people who just went full Bellular and just threw all existence of reality out the window, but apparently executives are doing it too now. Sweet, excellent. So yeah, I would say, maybe we need a little bit of catch up for people who aren't exactly sure what's going on, but I don't think we really need that, do we? I think everyone should probably know that Microsoft just launched 1,900 employees into the bin.
Into the bin. Now it's one of those things. The default response that I've seen a lot of the time is this is mergers and acquisitions. One thing that will happen is the removal of redundant roles. And that's basically just, sort of like back of office operations, right? Where it's like, imagine, say, we had an accounting department, which we don't. But imagine we're a way larger business and we have an accounting department, and then we acquire another business, and they also have an accounting department. Then you're going to be left with oh shit, we have 2 accounting departments. This doesn't make sense. So that is the normal mergers and acquisitions thing. This is a little different. That is undoubtedly happening. Yes. So that is happening. And that's one of those things. It's understandable, but it still is obviously awful for the people who are impacted by that. What is happening here, though, is more, I think, than we anticipated, because it is impacting game roles. Now, oddly enough, I don't know about Rumble. I've not seen a single World of Warcraft developer post yet. I say yet because even though it may look like there are loads and loads and loads of, Blizzard staffers on Twitter, relatively speaking, there isn't. The vast majority are not involved in social media, right? So I don't exactly know how much it impacts the Warcraft. When I say sort of core development team, I'm talking about Irvine. In other offices, community and stuff like that, there'll be things to get into. Certainly things that all of my colleagues in the EU will very profoundly feel, which completely sucks. It's almost hard to know where to start on this.
It's pretty big and all encompassing, and people have covered the news all week, so it's a little bit what's new, what's changed, what's different, what's important, kind of hard to know where to actually stick onto this, because it is such a I was talking with quite a few people in pre-chat and it's clearly a pretty complicated issue with a whole bunch of people have different feelings and different issues with it. There's obviously people who also see they're clearly laid off for a reason. There must be something to them in some capacity. So it is a little bit rough. But I think one of the most interesting things to me is that Ibarra's gone. Yeah. Which means Blizzard, for the next little while until they get a president, is rudderless. So it's wondering who is going to be the new president. Is it going to be someone internally, or is it likely going to be someone that Microsoft will install? And then you kind of go, well, how does that work for survivorship? How does that work for the direction of the company as a whole? Because obviously one of the things was, I've seen people suggest that Ibarra being originally, 20 years of Microsoft, people going,
Not the case.
Yeah, not the case there. I've seen
As in, like,
yeah.
I think people have already said online, I've heard from people that is not true. Not popular there.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a, do we get someone who will be in the best interest of Blizzard as we know them? And we'll hold that. And obviously, whoever's going to be there is going to have Blizzard's best interest in mind, but it is a case of who's the person who's going to greenlight smaller Warcraft projects and have them greenlit. And, because as Ibarra was saying, when it comes to like Phil Spencer, like his kind of leadership, it was, at least on paper, it was supposed to be if they have any good projects that they want to go for, it's up to them to do it. So it's like, are we going to get a president that'll be like, let's do a rough example, Warcraft 4? Or, obviously it's not something to that degree, I imagine, ever. But even like the small spin-off game or anything along those lines. Or if they're going to get a president that's going to be, we will extract as much value as possible from existing IP.
I mean, screw it. Let's just get right into the. I'm trying to think like how to. I suppose divide things up today. What I can say is our team have been like monitoring this constantly since the news broke yesterday. So between like what's here in our stream show notes, the stuff that I've covered over. On the news channel, there will be a video going live there very shortly today. We pretty much know kind of everything there is to know that's at least public. I'm not sharing anything that I have heard in a super specific way from people that I know, but I will attempt to use things that I know to communicate sort of vibes and perspectives that will be useful for you to know. Is probably the right way of putting that.
I imagine so, yeah.
Okay, right, Mike Ibarra, let's get that started. So, number one thing, Mike Ibarra gets appointed alongside Jen O'Neill. So, Mike Ibarra was heading up Battle.net over at Blizzard. Jen O'Neill was the studio head of Vicarious Visions. It was renamed Blizzard Albany. And she worked her way up, I believe, from being QA.
Yes.
Now, that is a career path that is not really a thing
it's
these days.
It's impossible nowadays, 100%.
Yeah, it doesn't happen because all of this, and we'll talk about it later, but that's all being outsourced. I literally like talking to people in other studios, like completely aside from this story, who have had, whatever QA support they were supposed to have essentially be outsourced. It really does seem that is a complete shit show when it does happen. So that's kind of what happens. Jen O'Neill leaves really, really quickly. It's like a small number of months. A token, it was over essentially, I think it was, well, there are things that we will never know. And it's quite tricky. I've heard that when that went down, there was just a lot of Ibarra sitting quietly. But I cannot confirm that. I was not in the room. And, it's like when you hear about something from somebody who is closer to the story, to the story than you, but you also know they weren't there. It's like you can't really sort of report it as like big true facts. But anyway, some form of drama goes on there. Obviously, this is J. Allen Brack being Yote in the bin because he is implicated in being, I guess, being soft on Alex Afrasiabi, I think, during the whole, Californian TFEH case. That department has since renamed, but that's neither here nor there. So, right, that happens. Obviously, these are like the Activision picks. Now, context there, like sort of financial control, stuff like that at Blizzard had been encroaching for years. I have talked with numerous, not just in development roles, and this is like, a few years ago, but like plenty of people are like, no, it's right. The things like, yes, maybe the gamers don't have all the nuance, but basically a lot of what they're saying is kind of right. So that's the sort of thing that was going on. I think with Ibarra, you do see more of kind of APK corporate moving in, which does make sense. They did appoint him, right? So, and, while he had been at Blizzard, he wasn't sort of like OG, which is probably something that they wanted. They wouldn't want somebody who was tainted by being OG Blizzard. So anyway, right, that happens. Ybarra kind of makes a tit out of himself in at least one employee QA. This is about the return to office policy. Of course.
God, that was so long ago.
Yeah,
now
we'll get into that because that RTO policy meant that a lot of people then had to move to California to continue their job. And obviously, if they now don't have a job, then that is just like, yeah, they've been profoundly screwed around by the company.
You're just in California now. You're like, sweet, guess it's me now.
Task number 1, no longer be in California.
Yeah, so if you got the money for it, like.
You don't have the money to stay in California.
That's true, yeah.
So true. All that happens. Now, I had heard on some grapevines that Ybarra was not popular whatsoever at Microsoft, which certainly then made watching BlizzCon interesting. So it's like, I don't know how much that is true, but the thing is very notable, right? Yeah. Let's remember at BlizzCon, Ybarra said basically, I'm here for the future, they'll have to drag me out. He's now gone. And, well, I have heard it from numerous people that, like, it is not voluntary. I mean, he was booted. Right? So my current, like, this is not a claim of fact. This is my current opinion, is that it is more likely true than false that he was shown the door. This is something that I already thought before I heard from numerous individuals backing it up. The reason why I thought that is because he said they will have, they'd have to drag me out. I'm going to be here for years. And then, like, that was at BlizzCon. And like a month and a half, 2 months later, he's gone. Yeah,
well, either he changed his mind very quickly or someone made him change his mind. And I think that's either way. It's like if change is so profound that you decide to leave after promising not to, then I think you're in you're in that fun case of, like, I don't know if you've ever watched, like, The Thick of It or Yes Minister or any, like, political shows and, like, comedies in the UK, but it's very much a case of, and someone walks into your office and says, draw up a letter of resignation, please. And that's not a request. That's you get to see a face on the way out here, big man. That's it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I have no idea, but I mean, it's clear as day if you are saying, I will be dragged out. I am now gone. Interesting.
Like, Jason Schreier picked up on it immediately. He tweeted, Ybarra told me that he wanted to stay for the long haul. Someone will drag me out of Blizzard. Ybarra told me. That's how long I will be here. So, Jason Schreier's just... He's like, no, this does not square with what I heard very recently, directly from the person involved. Now... what is the ousted president doing? Well, the good news is it involves traveling the world and hyper growth opportunities. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I absolutely love pursuing blue sky HGOs. I mean, all day. I just wake up. I'm like, it's time for a hyper growth opportunity.
The hamster in the wheel is running. It's not running very fast. I can't quite get a steroid joke out of hypergrowth opportunities, but I can certainly see it. Is there a reason Phil's so big? Is he on the human growth hormone as well? So I don't know. Like, there is certainly
just every time he like goes and every time he does an event, Phil just like, it's like 2% bigger, so nobody notices it until you're like, what the? How is Phil Spencer suddenly 8 feet tall and a Goliath?
Yeah, I guess the thing is, people are they're looking at this, and obviously this is LinkedIn. This is obviously just corporate speak as well.
LinkedIn, but also known as Hell on Earth.
Yeah, everyone has to be fake and do this stuff, but it looks like everyone's sitting going, well, you're out. Okay, well, what about all of the other people that aren't going to take time out to spend time with family and travel the world, who may not be able to look for hyper growth opportunities because they're just been laid off in a business environment where there are no jobs for them to go to, which is something we'll have to talk about a little bit about as well. But It is certainly just later exits the company, goes, I've decided to transition out and I'll go have a great time. Goodbye.
Ultimately, I mean, oh God, going to give Taliesin a big chub by saying this. This kind of comes off as an issue of class, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the point. This is like the people in the class that he's talking to, that he's addressing here, they do not view, they don't really view sort of the people impacted today as
people.
See, that's the weird thing. It's like they do, but do you know what it reminds me of? And I've been rewatching old South Park lately. Come on, Michael. It's the episode where Kyle's dad is like basically explains like, there's people like us, and then there's people like Kenny's family.
Of course, yes.
And that joke pays off quite well at the end. But it does come off like that. It's just sort of like that level of tone deafness, right? That like lack of consideration, and sort of, do you know what it is, right? It's like posting that. Assuming you're not very stupid, you're going to know what people will say about this.
Well, that's a flag in the ground.
So the literal point here is know and don't care. That's why it was posted. Mm-hmm. That's, I suppose, why I say it's a kind of like, it's a class issue.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking like object-oriented programming. I'm thinking like, these are both of type that, but everything else is different. It's like we're all of type human, but every other property I have is different to you people.
Yeah,
it's like, what it feels like.
Yeah, and this is him very publicly sticking his waving the flag of the people he's very much with, which are his business cohorts, and as opposed to the the team that built Blizzard and ATVI over the years, because they clearly he didn't. Maybe there was some situation where he maybe tried to negotiate to keep what he was doing, but. If you send it like this, you're like, I'm out. Goodbye. I will have no part of that, which is just, I don't think there's too much more to say about it. Just the president is gone and clearly not that upset about it, and is probably going to land more than well on his feet, just like everyone else who seems to leave these above a certain echelon. It's like as soon as you get above a certain level of executive, leaving is not an opportunity-seeking affair, or at least something that you're going to end up vaguely profitable, if nothing else. Versus, I'm out of a job now. Shit.
Now, of course, there is another question to this. Why was he fired?
Because
not literally. I know he was fired, but like, why does it seem like he was asked to sign a resignation letter?
Well, I have the answer, right? And I think everyone will understand exactly when I say this. Remember the speech he gave at BlizzCon? If that's emblematic of how passionate and strong he appears to be with Blizzard himself, I could see it. I've just been like, nah, we're going to have someone maybe more active and energetic and capable.
I actually have no idea. I can't remember that speech at all.
Exactly.
Not that I want to be like over-indexing, like you have to be a certain, like loud, boisterous, rumbly, deep voice thing.
It's not even that. To me, it's just like you watch and you go, because even if someone's a bit quiet and someone a bit, kind of there, like as an example, compared to Ian presenting at BlizzCon, and Ian was an absolute change man and like doing an exceptional job as like game director and communicating his game is great, and you could feel the energy and the vibes were good and strong and let's go do this. Obviously Metzen being Metzen, he's in a different class because he's a storyteller, so that's a bit of a other thing, but at the same time it was like Ibarra just didn't really give off great vibes, and I'm very big into reading the vibes of people, and not that I do it, but I'm saying if you get a vibe off someone, there's probably something telling you that's right. So if he's a wee bit not super exactly there, or you don't get a great level of confidence from him,
there's like some spooky evolutionary like little bit of your brain that's like, I don't know, the vibe cube. Yeah. The vibe mush. Oh man, the word vibe. It's a bit overused, but I mean fair in this case. So yes, that is that situation, at least from what I understand, not a particularly popular with the people. President, who knows? I suppose with the next one. And I mean, thinking about some more broad context, and we'll probably get into this later as we go through more details, but thinking about, say, you know, Battle.net team being demolished, or, you know, heavy losses, you then kind of wonder, like, well, are these going to be studios that we brought into the fold on a, you know, if you just sort of like think of a diagram, you know, you have like Microsoft here, and then Microsoft has a line that takes it to Activision Blizzard, and then all the sub-studios are there. Or is it just all of those sub-studios reporting to Matt Booty? And that corporate structure is kind of dismantled and gone. I'm not you know, it's like, what way will they actually treat this? What will the independence of these entities be?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think like everything seemed like they were more than happy to continue the Activision, and Activision are Activision and Blizzard are Blizzard. They're just corporately Activision Blizzard for tax purposes, but they are largely Blizzard is Blizzard with a little bit of oversight. Mm-hmm. And now it seems like the goal was to skip the Activision oversight a little bit and go to the Microsoft oversight for Blizzard. At least that's the way Phil Spencer was talking about it, and Barra as well. We're talking about how that was kind of going to go. So I can't imagine this being like we'll get rid of the president and then never replace him, and then Blizzard will be under our control, because Blizzard already are under their control.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine it'll suddenly be something along those lines, but it does kind of leave you wondering who's going to be there to like take the reins of Blizzard in a way and fight. So I'm wondering, like, I see people like saying, you know, is John Haidt going to be the president of Blizzard now? And you're like, I mean, I don't really know who it's like, him or Holly, maybe in terms of people who are there going up, but they're
Microsoft
kind of people. You imagine they would install someone then? But
yeah, I'm imagining an installation.
Yeah, and then you're going, well, who could that be? Is it going to be external? No one ever likes when that happens. It's like there's occasionally a stroke of luck where the someone who comes in is like driven and likes it originally and is ready to go. But otherwise, if it's just here's an installation, they're going to kind of change the culture or impose their own things. It's kind of worrying a little bit.
Yeah, so...
Phil Harrison. Let's do it, Phil Harrison. Let's go. The end of Blizzard as we know it, literally real this time.
It's literally not Phil Harrison's fault. It's just he's literally cursed.
He's cursed, yeah.
Phil Harrison launched Stadia for Google.
Phil Harrison, an interesting person who... Every time he's went anywhere, things have gone horribly wrong. After one successful stint at Sony marketing the PlayStation in Europe, everything he's touched after that, like the reverse Midas finger, everything turned to dirt. But yes. Oh, dear.
Yeah, so the way that this went down then was we got memos that went public. These happened at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Oof. And so 7 a.m. in California, like, you know, obviously where Irvine is. It's where most of Blizzard's development staff will be, though there are other people in places like Blizzard Albany, Blizzard Austin, and so on.
Blizzard Albany are largely unaffected, yeah. I think they were...
I haven't heard a massive amount.
Yeah, I think they were completely or more or less scot-free.
They're Diablo content? I think they're Diablo... I was about to say I think they're a Diablo farm. That's a bit mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, so that happens. Those things roll out. People, broadly speaking, then, are waiting. They're waiting for an email. They're waiting for a HR call. For some people, this happened sooner, which is ideal. For other people, I mean, like, people that I know the example, you know, like Varya's role, it's like she only found out today. Yeah. So, yeah, that's like, that's not flipping nice. I know that there are some other units where people won't actually know for like a few days. So that's really rough.
Yeah, this is, I think... Because obviously this whole process is dehumanizing.
Yes.
When you're cutting off 1,900 people, you cannot, you know, be like, well, we'll set all of 1,900 down individually over the course of this month.
Yeah,
and like,
there's a scale problem here, for sure.
There's literally a problem. You cannot do that. Even if it's like, well, we have to get a spreadsheet of all 1,900 people and then email them all. Sending 1,900 emails.
Microsoft Teams has just had an outage.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's... Oh, jeez. It's like there's literally logistic problems But in terms of being extremely dehumanizing, like, could you imagine, like, do I have a job? And you cannot get an answer.
Yeah.
How horrendous an experience must that not be?
And of course, for people in in America, that then does come with quite a lot of other baggage.
Yeah.
Like health coverage and stuff like that. So like we don't exactly know what the severance packages are going to be. It
won't be as good as Rats, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Jason Schreier was saying, and I trust him in especially like a labor related issue because he reports on it a lot and he's passionate about it. But apparently then stuff with Riot was like sort of best in class insofar as severances go. Basically that happens. People start to find out. And I guess we're almost doing this a bit chronologically because I suppose we'll take you through the story or the sort of journey that we had even understanding this. Initially, what did it look like? It looked like, okay, we are going to, there's the survival game. I don't know how public it is in the team size. But apparently it's like 250 people.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so we're not entirely sure with that.
Oh.
So that's quite rough.
That's dire. In every conceivable way, that's dire. Especially considering they started hiring up for it last year.
Yeah.
So you must see
they hired up. It was 2022. And at the same time, they got the Far Cry 3 director? Major in Far Cry 3. And then he was executive producer for Far Cry's up to 6. They got him onto the survival game. Yeah, along with staffing up.
Yeah.
And that's dead now.
All of that work and effort and expenditure and investment just shot in the head.
We can get into that specific sort of situation with that game in a little bit. So that happens. We know survival game is gone. We still think that it's mostly sort of two things going on. Kind of like back of house operations, removing redundancies because of mergers happened. So that we assume.
And not even just that. Because there's people suggesting that, I thought, was it Schreier in the Bloomberg article said a lot of CS roles are going to be outsourced?
Yep, so that's the thing.
Outside of Microsoft entirely?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we look at that happening, impacting like customer service, QA, that sort of thing. But broadly speaking, people are saying this is just because of M&A activities. This is a very normal thing. It's not going to impact development. Then a few curious things happen, and I don't know where. Who is it? There's a number of people on the Overwatch 2 team, like artists, animators. I think actually some gameplay design as well.
I haven't seen the gameplay designer. I think I saw, was it the lead environment artist or someone along that lines said like half their team was gone or something. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy. That's clearly, this is downscaling. At the same time, we're losing all these like redundancies. We're also downscaling that project specifically. And then the narrative designer.
That was the one, yes.
Narrative designers.
So
maybe the work's all done. It'll be shipped. But I wouldn't be too excited about Overwatch 2 PvE if I were you.
Yeah, whenever people were then going through LinkedIn's, it began to be apparent that yes, PvE stuff was sort of going, but then you're going to have cross-discipline or I suppose, gameplay type teams. Like making maps, art assets, that sort of thing. Evidently, along with whatever's happened on PvE that we suspect, that now means less animators, less artists, less of all of that. So seemingly a downsize. I would imagine a downsizing of the Overwatch team to focus on PvP. I think the most recent thing we heard was I think they were 225 million in revenue, but I don't know exactly when. We've got to properly break that down. It'll be on our news channel next week. So
you'll find some stuff there.
That's essentially what we had seen, but also like Diablo 4, some people gone.
Yeah, people in chat saying D4 art team.
Yeah,
taking casualties. Well, unfortunate.
Yeah. So we got that. Customer service departments being gutted. They're 80% of Blizzard off. Austin was laid off. Let that sink in. I don't know the specific number. I have heard that though. So yeah, even Micah Whipple example. I mean, I think his job title has a director in it now. He started off, in like customer service, I think.
Yeah, tech support.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jen O'Neill started in QA.
Yeah, Chris Messin started as an artist and became lead narrative designer.
Varia
for Warcraft. Do you know why?
I think she was customer service as well. I think I think Ash, who I worked with, was also customer service. I don't know about Marie, but I'm just thinking about like past, community managers that I've worked with, and like a lot of them did come up through that. And I think like that's also an important thing. Like CM wise, I think that kind of roots the CMs in being quite player oriented. And my experience of the CMs was always that they were just like they got it,
It's rough because I think one of the things is that was always like ages ago. I remember way back when people would try to get in the door as a GM and then see where they could go from there.
Yeah.
But now you get in the door as a GM and then gets unceremoniously removed. And sometimes you're not even told about it. They're like, oh, what'll do? Customer service? Who needs customer service? Who needs it? It's not like our game is horribly flooded with bots and
not
all forms of issues. Just see that rug. See that very, very misshapen rug that's about halfway to the ceiling. Just throw some more stuff under there.
I think there's also a lot of I was seeing like a lot of backseat stuff where it's like we replace that with some other CMs, replace that with some other customer support. But the thing is, there's a lot in these roles is a lot of the experience that actually makes the difference. It's not the title. It is the on-the-job experience, doing that actual job, doing that role in that company with that player base, with whatever, sort of just like tech stack, workflow, blah, 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 that the company uses. Like those things are actually, those are not just like, the job title. There's all of that that niche expertise.
Yeah, it's
retention is so important.
Yeah, it's how do I describe this? It's the one thing that we kind of have been shown in the video game industry over the past couple of years in terms of what is actually important, right? What is important and what lets you make the great products that people will buy hand over foot?
The line. That goes up, I think.
No, actually. It's the people who make the games, if you keep them there long enough, they get really good at their jobs. And then they feel very comfortable and can work very well with each other and by themselves to make excellent video game experiences. Or you could get rid of them all and just see what happens.
Just see?
It's not like that's impacted any AAA. It's not like massive turnovers caused really severe harm to output in IPs that we know of at all. Hello, the entirety of AAA industry.
Yeah, so that's a problem. And this is something that like definitely feels bad to say. But they're going to have a really hard time finding a job now. The jobs market is flooded. And it's not like it's flooded with people with loads of experience. Even in examples like the BioWare layoffs, they preferentially targeted their most experienced, most expensive staff. So, and this has happened at lots of different companies. It's like it's all blended together in my head because we've been reporting in this for like the best part of a year now. But yeah, the people who are gone are, in many cases, very experienced. So that is going to be a hell of a competitive jobs market. Like we went from a situation where the labor market was super tight. Now there are lots of little bubbles within the overall industry bursting. And that just means that labor market's flooded. And the other thing, like a hiring freeze is not front page news. Because hiring freezes like had already been implemented at Blizzard, by the way. So a lot of the other like companies have just got hiring freezes. Now, like there are lots of companies that do have open positions that are, I mean, they're obviously signal boosting that, given that there has been another flood of candidates onto the market. But yeah, that's going to be really, really challenging. Especially for some people as well. Like, they need to get a job or else their visa's gone and they have to leave the country. That's rough.
That's the one thing I was not expecting to see quite as much of across Twitter, because obviously Twitter's good at showing the algorithm things. So I've just been flooded by like different, like not even just Blizzard developers, but staff across Blizzard and Microsoft as a whole.
I kind of want a lot of those big tech companies. Like, if you, it's one of the opening jokes in Silicon Valley of like, just the ratio of, oh yeah, it's a little flock of programmers. You've got like this, like this white guy and this Indian guy, whatever it was. Silicon Valley's like, it's not always perfect, but I do think Silicon Valley's a pretty like, funny show. But like one of the interesting things that I'd learned, like, I think India's just one example, but a lot of people, is it a H2? I forget the name of the visa.
H1, the H2, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they get in on that visa where it certainly gives the companies massive power over them.
Obscene amounts. Just, oh yeah, you want to live here where your life now is? Well, don't do anything wrong. Or don't accidentally be one of the dice we roll to get rid of whenever it's the end of the year or the end of the quarter.
That's the bit to talk about as well.
Sure is. Sure is. Where was it at here? We have it somewhere. There was, yes, I like this. I like this. The layoffs. See, this is how the layoffs were kind of done. This is obviously from one person, so take with a grain of salt, but I thought it was interesting. My last message for my Slack was deactivated. Look, I'm just happy we were able to provide some value to the shareholders. A lot of reactions to that too, which is fun. But this is something they posted a little later, earlier today, I believe. And it's, so I'm getting past the mourning phase and entering my pissed off stage. Overwatch layoffs didn't care about tenure, skill, performance, how expensive, how new, if you just moved out, if you just had a baby the same day as a layoff. Someone looked at a spreadsheet, decided which parts of the projects you wanted and cut the rest. No attempts to keep people, no communication, just thanks for nothing, bye. Leads and managers did not know. How are people supposed to be motivated and keep morale up whenever it is just, we have job death squads roaming the offices every year, every 6 to 12 months. We just have these just execution squads picking people out at random.
It's that
like what's the point? Even if you think about it from the perspective of, why do you want to do a good job? Because you want to be like treated like a human and say, oh well, you're doing a good job, here's your promotion. But what's the point of that if just someone walking around with a like a red letter like goodbye, or pink slip, sorry, just goodbye?
That's the thing. Like, if you feel surgery is the only option, like surely the scalpel is preferable to the cleaver,
to the shotgun,
or the sawn off, or the blunderbuss, because like that's the bit that's so insane to me. It's like, just this department X% gone.
Yeah, like I completely understand, even in the world of, because I saw there was a super chat there earlier from Bumblebee Tune saying, what's the point of progress if we can't accept people should make the same money, needing to work less? 3 trillion market cap and layoffs is a sad joke, which is another thing. Microsoft having briefly crossing a $3 trillion market cap and then going, we'll lay off 1,900 people. So even if you go, okay, well, these layoffs are necessary for whatever economic purposes, this is not going to work. Be it we need to make more money, or be it we're going to collapse if we don't, which is obviously not the case. But okay, we need to have a good reason for this in some world. You still don't just walk around just firing pink slips at the people randomly. Like, you're supposed to treat people like humans in some capacity. And this may be a little bit optimistic or a little bit idealistic, because there's 1,900 people and it's difficult to do that. But if this is how you get away with treating people, then there's clearly something horribly wrong with the process. If it's like, oh yeah, sorry, you just had a baby, well, goodbye. You're like, but no warning, no safety net whatsoever. And obviously you go, well, just don't have a baby then. And you go, well then why the hell would anyone want to work for you if you're too afraid to make any commitment or move or buy a house, get a mortgage, or do literally anything that's like actually a life outside of work if they're just going to turn around and be like, nah, you're a number, and we just scratched you out.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like.
Because I know there's a lot of people who are taking the line of like, business exists for money, you know, whatever, people cog. The thing though is, it's about the alignment of incentives, and what a lot of people, it's like, why are the like negative externalities in the current system becoming more and more and more of a problem? The kind of answer is because, like, number one, in many cases they're unpriced, and also they're long-term negatives. So if we keep on taking short and medium-term positives that have long-term negatives, as time goes on, those negatives are going to pile up. And I know that's a ridiculously simplified way to put it, but this is a gaming live stream, so yeah, I'm.
Yeah, we're trying to talk about video games in some capacity, but the industry's making it really, really hard.
So the point there is like, yeah, this will probably drive up your earnings per share or whatever. Like, I get that. Or
the holy grail number.
I mean, look, if you have an Overwatch team of X, but it only takes, 2/3 of X to keep PvP going, and PvP is earning you X amount of dollars in, Y amount of time. Like, hey, do you want to just increase profitability, by your margin by like 40 or 50%? Cool, hatch it. Kill them all. And now your numbers went up. The thing is, though, what have you lost? Well, all of that, all of that talent, essentially. And what does that then mean? Well, does that set you up for the 5-year, for the 10-year, to be strong as an organization? I would say no. That sets you up to be disrupted in the future. And I mean, ultimately, that's why having a fairly vibrant startup, ecosystem like that is a very important thing, because these large companies do need to be disrupted. Like, a part of the sort of ecosystem is that whenever layoffs happen, some of the people who are laid off will end up taking something into their own hands, doing a thing, starting a company, and, maybe in 10 years' time, that's the company taking a big bite out of the old incumbent. But the thing is that, that will happen, and it's good that happens, but a lot of people will be, I would say, needlessly hurt by the inefficient way in which this is done. It's the sort of thing, like, so much is in your execution of your plan, and it seems that this was a plan that was executed very badly. So to execute a plan badly, that is not pursuing efficiency. So, like, that's also the thing. Short-term line god business, maybe not ideal for, just building a company to last. And of course, when you look at Blizzard, that's a company that was, riding off past successes for a very long time. And that's actually one of the problems in a lot of the old incumbent companies. They've been riding off the old shit that got them here for years and years and years. They've not innovated. You're like, you're wondering why, like, quite broadly speaking, people are not happy. Like, gamers, like audiences are not particularly happy with the state of, like, a lot of the big companies. And, therefore, well, other way around. They're not happy with the state of a lot of the big games. Therefore, they're not happy with the state of a bunch of the big companies.
Yeah.
Like, why do you get indie hits?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it doesn't matter.
It's like, why is there not a decently large company? It's like, okay, we'll do a Valheim. Boom, done. Valheim.
Yeah.
It's ultimately because you're making a machine to pump Call of Duty money. You're not actually making, a...
Yeah, there was someone in chat there.
You're not a game developer. You're a Call of Duty developer now.
Yeah.
A Call of Duty franchise sort of, it would be like saying, no, McDonald's is McDonald's. It's not going to do anything else.
Yeah, there's like a hyper specialization of what's effectively you got lucky or you were strong enough or good enough to build one cash cow, and now the entire thing is throwing souls into the grinder to keep the cash cow alive. in a way, as opposed to actually trying to make natural, good, new things.
Do you ever think about why Warhammer 40k is getting quite popular these days?
I literally made that. I framed it the way just so you'd pick up on that. Yes, I kind of figured. It is. Once again, I think even the silliest of science fiction, you look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that's the Torment Nexus. Why are we building Torment Nexuses? Oh dear." So I think there's like, this is an industry contraction, right? And this is part of an industry contraction because Microsoft's 1900 layoffs were not Microsoft wide. They were Microsoft's gaming businesses and Activision Blizzard, which means it's an Xbox contraction. It's a part of, the gaming industry contraction. And that's, I think, the case of it was naturally going to happen because there's too many, we've reached the industry's kind of cap in terms of what people are willing to buy and pay for. Which means, what's the thing to do? How do you get rid of a contraction? Or how do you, like, a market contraction in this sense? Obviously, you look at real world scenarios and go, well, people have less disposable income, but you can't really think about that too much if you're a video game business leader, because you're not going to go, well, actually, let's just go solve all the other world problems and then come back to video games. You're going to have to go, well, how do we make this make more sense for the video game consumer? How do we make them want to spend more money? And how do we make them want to, all the people who are like, as a really stupid example, how do we get someone to drop their Netflix sub for a Game Pass sub in the most specific? Because I say that very specifically because in the UK, it was last year, I think, the video game market was not the biggest entertainment market for the first time in a long, long, long time. Streaming and video overtook it, which implies that, well, there's either contraction in video games, I can't remember which it is, either a contraction in video games comparatively or a growth in streaming comparatively. And all that says is people don't want to play your games. Yeah. People don't want to give you money for your games as much. And that's an industry problem to solve. It's just, I'm optimistic that it will be solved because I think I'm weirdly optimistic about natural systems evolving because, the predator that stops being able to predict gets...
Well, look, the other side of it is... it's like if there's a recession and house prices tank, who's that good for? That is to say, if anything, we are beneficiaries of this.
In the grand scheme of things, yeah.
Like I know of people who have lost candidates. And you're dealing with salaries of like 350 grand, and I'm not talking about, or 400 grand is another one that I heard. And what was staggering to me is in both of those examples, you are not dealing with programmers. Because usually you think of those salaries as FANG programmers.
Yeah.
Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Google, those big companies. But no, like that is how bubbled up things got, especially with all of the VC money being pumped in like 2021, 2022.
All that free COVID money, like.
Yeah, all that free COVID money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the people who stay, you know what? Just read Warren Buffett's letters. Oh my God. Or Purge. No, I was about to say, yeah, Per Charlie's Almanac. It's a good book. And yes, like I know, like so much of say the success of Warren Buffett is time in the market, his strategy. It's funny, his strategy has underperformed versus what a lot of other people have been able to achieve in like the last 20 years. But that's because we're just out of, or maybe still in, I forget, one of the longest bull runs in history. I was like, that's actually not normal.
Yeah, all money is completely fake, and it's just people added too many zeros.
It's market cycles, but I suppose if you do have that consolidation of assets and wealth, this is not the sort of thing that I've ever studied. I don't know, but maybe does that have an impact in speculative bubbles? I mean, I don't know. People a lot more intelligent than me with numbers probably have looked at the VC landscape lately and have said intelligent things about it. So I suppose I'll leave it to them. But yeah,
it's very boring. Just make things up and say them. It's fine. That's what I do. It works so far.
Yeah, and I just have to pretend that I'm right. Oh, that's how you.
It's called delusions of grandeur.
That's how the whole gig works, right?
Yeah, go for it. Great. You can just say whatever you want, and as long as you are bullish enough about it, people will be like, must have a point. Must have a point, I guess. But yeah, no, it's frustrating. I mean, I think that's a good way to put it, Dark Soul. So, thanks to Super said, the opposite of planting trees you won't sit in the shade of, build a nexus now you won't live to see anyway for some quick stacks. That's a little bit what it feels like for the extreme short term. But I guess that's the problem when businesses are, I don't even want to read too much into this because it's a bit kind of off the top of my head, but like you look at executives and they're all 50s and 60s. You're like, man, remember when a lot of these companies were built when they were young by people in their 20s and 30s, who were like maybe not even in their 30s, but they were like hyper creative, super pushing like the boundaries of games and like trying to make this crazy stuff when they were in their 20s. And I was like, now someone in their 50s is running it, and there's like, just to torch it. You
know the way people say that Cleopatra is like as ancient to us as the pyramids in Giza were to her. Yeah. And that's one of those things. Or like, Cleopatra was like closer to Facebook than the pyramids. And that blows people's minds. I saw somebody like, it was like a joke tweet, but I saw them make the tweet and they said like, so when I was growing up, like Bill Clinton was the president. He's younger than the two people who are currently running for president. Now I looked it up, and Bill is 77. So we are talking about months here.
Young, spry fella, like.
And you see that, and you're like, are our systems really doing the best job here? So it's, I don't know. It's quite something. Like long term, it is inefficient it is bad for like bullshit burning money in a big like whenever those bubbles burst, like it hurts, but it is often a good thing for long-term sustainability. The problem is the bigger that bubble gets before it pops, the more people are going to be hurt. It's a bit like...
it is also unfortunate that who's getting disproportionately harmed by the bubble bursting. That's the thing that's really annoying. Hey, Microsoft, nice $3 trillion market cap. Hey, what's going to happen to any of the executives who made these terrible decisions in, like, especially because I see people talk about it being like COVID overhiring because everyone saw the line go up when people couldn't go outside and played more games. I went, there are no external factors here. We're just all rich now. Let's go. Let's hire 1 million people. It'll be fine. It's like the one of the major problems is the fact that those people don't seem to be getting the short end of the stick in any capacity, as opposed to people who were hired and are now just like, oh, sorry, we probably shouldn't have hired you. They will never admit that publicly. Whoop, off you go.
There's actually one comment. Soto Doom. So the layoffs are good. Nice. No worries then. That is certainly not what but I should explain. If you're in a situation where something is looking like it's very likely to be economically like quite unviable, it is often better. It's a little bit like in personal relationships or something like that. It's often better to have the hard conversation earlier, because if you let a situation get worse and worse, that conversation's only going to get harder, more painful, and more damaging. So in this case, this is like not what's going on here. This is irresponsible COVID overhiring and a bunch of other things. As an example with, like with layoffs, if layoffs are something that, it looks more likely than not that this is something that will have to happen, it's better that those are done early, responsibly, as ethically as you can, giving people, do it properly instead of let time go on to the point where it's blown up in your face and maybe your company's went to zero and everyone loses their jobs. Yeah.
Big emphasis on that responsibility and ethically. That's where like my major sticking point is, because I completely understand that sometimes you make mistakes and that's just going to happen. But the point is you can't just treat them like numbers. You can't treat people completely like dehumanize them, because how many of these 1,900 people will leave the industry and never come back to it? And that's the problem. Like, even if they wanted to come back to it, maybe they can't. And you go, well, look at the damage you have just done to our industry as a whole. Nice having any responsibility for it whatsoever.
And there's another side to that. So, I mean, a lot of it's just talking about assets, right? So if you have assets, then you are able to weather situations like this quite a bit more. But one thing that I've noticed in how hyper-consumerist, like a lot of society is...
like hyper-growth, yes.
Hyper-growth.
We're out of just normal adjectives. We have to go for hyper now for everything.
Well, it's like with roller coasters. You got your hyper coasters, your giga coasters. I can't wait to find out what the next tier of roller coaster is so I can go on it and just pop my clogs there and then. What was I going to say? Yes. Okay. There's just a lot about like asset concentration, and you got asset concentration happens more and more and more and more. Well, you know, if we're taking, say, like housing and stuff like that. How to put right. Sorry. Oh, Donuts is talking about the euthanasia coaster.
Oh, meta coasters. Oh my God.
I've seen the euthanasia coaster. It's flat out like it's just a roller coaster design. Like the G-forces will just literally kill you.
Damn.
Yeah,
that is horrifying and also metal.
Yeah, I suppose if you're a coaster fan, that's one of the ways to go.
There's definitely like there was like that little, you know, the whole this is why women live longer thing. There was just a little flicker in my head, just went, fucking try me and we'll see.
I will survive 3,000 G's out of sheer, I don't know, balls.
The indomitable human spirit will survive. It's fine. Body maybe not. But.
I suppose basically right. Point basically being, we got all that about assets, concentration. When times are bad, if you have assets to fall back on, thumb up, right? I then feel that there are so many things that are just really well designed at like nipping away at people's income. And it's one of those things. How much of human behavior is like what you actually decided to do? Or how much of it is just like essentially you doing the default because of the systems that you exist in, because of the possibility space that is actually open to you? And I guess I think about like, you know what? You go to any website now and it's just like buy with Klarna.
Ah, yes.
So, and then you think about like, say, the rent inflations that have went on, where it's like, yeah, somebody might be on 150K in California. Now, if you're on that amount of money here, you can swimming in it, like, just do anything.
Yeah.
Not Dublin, though. No. Go 2 hours down the road and you're literally in the most expensive cost of living city in Europe, I believe. The Irish economy is very true and real, and I think it's one of the times where, we can flat out, I mean, they call it the leprechaun economy, and I don't think that is a word that is offensive to people from here, because we all know that it is a fucking leprechaun economy.
Leprechanomics, like? There we go.
Leprechanomics?
Yeah. We'll write that book and be rich.
What was it before? It was like the something Irish with a Dutch sandwich or whatever. It was like the tax loophole, the cute name they had for it.
God.
So, I suppose quite challenging. I guess a lot of it just kind of comes down to like, if in all of our lives, like thinking if we were going to be, you know, yoinked in 2 months, what things do we have? You know, like what, like an emergency fund. Just like all of that. And I just feel like the double Irish with the Dutch sandwich. There's just so many things that are so good at just like nipping away money and kind of getting ahead of people, sort of planning for the future or maybe building up some assets, that it just makes times like this, I suppose, especially hard. Like when you see just like how expensive things are in, you know, places like California, where it's like, yeah, okay, someone's on 150K, and then you find out what their monthly rent is, and, you know, it's like 5 times what I paid in Belfast when I was renting.
Yeah, it's very fun, that. It's like, oh yeah, well, I make so much money. Like, yeah, but how much money do you have at the end of the month? Shut up.
Yeah, it's like
it's
those
very fun how it's all
millennial money.
Yeah,
where someone's like, "Oh, I earn 120 this I don't know what accent this is, like 120 grand a year, and I have 6 grand a month in rent," and then anyone from here is like, "What?" That was in New York. I think it's called millennial money. I think CNBC does it. CNBC, home of Jim Cramer.
I saw a tweet that was showing off a new apartment build in New York, and it was an apartment that was like, it was full on like the tiniest bed set I've ever seen in my life. And then the person in the video, just without pause, without any without highlighting this at all, just goes, and this goes for around 2K a month. Yeah. I'm just like,
so dude,
that's a fucking shoebox for 2K.
If you are enough of a member of the bourgeoisie to have, it's this mythical thing that old people have. It's called a bath. Now imagine, you can get some sticks, and then you can get like a tarp, and then you can sell that as a domicile.
Perfect.
There you go. I don't. Where the fuck's this one? Video games.
Yeah,
Loot. Yeah. Legendaries. Loktar. Sug.
Yeah, I have a feeling orcs would probably rebel against some of this.
What if those layoffs were bad at their jobs? Says Sotodim. I mean, yeah. Look, like obviously that is a company. I'm definitely not like. I mean, there's a reason why it's like, okay, you're on the performance improvement program now. Because there is give and take and fair play on both sides, and I'm definitely not advocating for companies like being forced to keep people on who are not good at their jobs. Yeah. Even I know there was some stuff where basically it's like, I definitely don't want to get myself into hot water. Was it here? It's one of those things, I think it was like a local issue. So I say this is a local issue. Definitely this is no sort of grander point, but it was one of like it being basically impossible to get rid of teachers.
Yeah.
And there was like just a few instances of that happened in some of the schools like around where I lived. And it was one of those things where it's like, I'm all for, rights, protections, very important, but also it's like you literally can't get rid of a teacher who's really bad at teaching. Then it's like, well, what the fuck? So, I'm not. I mean, yeah, it has to be right on both sides. But in this case, I'd certainly argue that it's not right in the side of the business.
I mean,
because it's not, it's very clearly like this doesn't appear to be a stack rank situation as an example. Stack ranking itself, very controversial policy. You could say that stack ranking would almost be a few levels up from just cells in the spreadsheet, delete. So it's like, even if you are going to be taking like the most pro-business angle, you could certainly say if you had to orchestrate a reduction in force of a magnitude like this, you would probably want to do so in a way that best preserves talent and all of that, and that is evidently also not happened here. Yeah, so this seems like one of those things that's just, it's like no matter what way you slice it, this is sort of bad.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's kind of annoying about this. I mean, say it with me if you're extremely tired of discourse all day long, every day about everything that currently exists. Because that's all life is now. It's a series of online discourses. Every other day, there's someone.
I hate the word discourse. I never want to hear it again.
Yeah,
when someone goes like, "Are you caught up to date with the discourse?" I want to jump out of my skin.
Yeah. So everyone's just like, right, well, we have to talk about this today. We have to talk about this. I'm like, no, can we stop fucking talking for 1 second?
We're all being intellectually waterboarded by discourses.
Yeah. So this is the case where this specifically is one of the annoying ones because, well, I think it's interesting to talk about and think about, but it is very, very complicated. And people don't do well with complicated things, especially online, especially on Twitter, because if you have Twitter Premium X Blue, whatever the hell it's called now.
Do you have X Premium or do you have X Premium Plus?
I don't know. Whichever's the one that lets you write blog posts on Twitter that no one ever reads because they go to Twitter for tweets. So you've got that, right? You've got people just having singular thoughts and be like, well, my thought is clearly correct. The people are just like, well, what if they were all bad at their jobs? And you go, yeah, good, but good thought. Carry it further. Or someone who like someone
this
who just
is the
goes,
thought equivalent of a shard.
Yeah. Yeah, or someone who immediately like goes, well, no one should ever fire anyone because that feels bad. And you're like, you're onto something, but just take that a little bit further. So this specifically is one of the things where it is very complicated and there's a lot of things to think about. So the discourses make me very, very, very tired of just, here's 1,000 thoughts. Can you have some sort of like take? And everyone wants a take is like, that's the right take.
Yeah.
That's the right one. Like, no, we need to have like a 30-minute, well, we've been here for like an hour. It's like, we need to talk like for an hour about this to kind of get everything out.
Now, I need Elon to give me like a few million for saying this. The only way to do like, to get that better might be to write that very long, or not very long, but you know that, the 1,000 word version, not the 280 word version. Or, God forbid, the 140 word version that we had to... Character that we had to survive with back in the day.
Those were good days. People had brevity back in. Class.
Yeah, it's almost as if, right, we are less laconic, but we don't have enough words to actually be intelligent yet.
Yeah, we're stuck in the middle. We're stuck in the middle.
But of course, as you said, like if, and it's not anyone's fault, if I see a big post on X... I'm just going like, dopamine.
Yeah, scroll down, show me the picture. Thank you. That's all I'm here for. I'm here for something. Give me something that I can read in 10 seconds and find funny.
Is this like a transcript from your Neuralink?
No, I just mean the picture. I just mean any picture. It's like, yes, that is very good. Excellent. That's very good. Excellent. That's a good bit of art about transmog. Good picture of someone's dinner, whatever the hell.
So I guess there we go on that. I do want to talk about like how this impacts World of Warcraft directly, and of course we should probably talk about the unannounced survival game.
Yes,
we'll do unannounced survival game first. I'm pretty sure I can just freestyle this one because we've been rather immersed in all this nastiness.
Before you go on ahead with that, EC90 super chat saying, "Do we really need any more video games?" And I'm gonna hit you with a no. Want? Yes. That's kind of the thing. Now, you could argue the same kind of goes for movies and music and stuff like that, because new creativity, new ideas, new things all the time. But there is certainly a case of we could sit down and just play video games from the 90s to 2010 and be okay, because we don't really need them, which is literally an industry problem to solve, especially as we live serviceify the shit everything.
Actually, that's...
and don't have the difference in fidelity and basically everything. From you play a game from, let's say, 2016, 2018, that feels pretty recent most times. You play like a late 7th gen game, and 7th gen had the PS3 era had some terrible pieces of shit and horrible design, but there was clearly a case of you get away with it. You go back and play some PS2 games, you're like a bit rough around the edges, but they're not bad. But they're not as like the generation gaps are not as profoundly transformative. So we do have an industry problem to solve of give me the game that I want.
Actually,
I mean, World of Warcraft, that's nearly 20 years old. Never played it. Obviously new content, but...
I get to reuse a joke that I made earlier, which I absolutely love. The actual answer is we soon won't need any more video games because NVIDIA will invent DLSS 6. So you'll just, I don't know, like shove your deck up your computer and suddenly you don't even need to play video games. Your graphics card will just generate whatever video game frame your brain would enjoy the most. DLSS 5, AI revolution, fantastic, great. We'll get sucked.
Fantastic.
It's lovely. And actually, you do bring up a really strong point, though, Matt. I remember I was trying to work out, like, what is this Creative Assembly situation? Like, I love Total War games. Why am I not being satisfied by these new Total War games? And I basically just, like, you go on Steam charts, and you're like, why is everyone playing, like, Medieval 2 and not the new thing? Then you're just like,
good game.
It's a good game. It's moddable. It's highly replayable. And the problem is, Creative Assembly are not losing out to the competition. The competition that they're losing out to is themselves 15 years ago.
Yeah, they should have just we made the game, hang it up, and let's go.
Like, do you know what it's the thing that they actually got right with the Warhammer games. You don't need a new release every year. You just need to keep the damn thing fed.
Yeah, but they need money.
And then, but that will get you the money, because look what the players are doing.
No, but more money.
And look at the revenue model of the Warhammers. It's a bit like with Blizzard. They're like, we've made World of Warcraft. We will keep making World of Warcraft the thing that people like. And when things get a bit messy, we'll fold it back into the dough, and then we'll keep on going. Just that idea of like the past and competition, I think, is fascinating because of so many companies, a lot of the VC-backed ones these days as well, who are trying to make the next big live servicey thing. And, we're maybe at a part of the tail end of that era.
Thank God it's almost over. We're almost in the clear. There will be some new bullshit to deal with.
Oh, I don't know what it is.
God knows what it is going to be.
Oh, but I can't wait for it.
But it's not going to be live service multiplayer shooter, I hope.
Oh. Can you imagine such a world? One thing we're not getting is a live service unannounced multiplayer survival game, because the unannounced survival game has in fact itself been unannounced.
De-announced.
The de-announced, unannounced survival game. Now, this is a very, very interesting situation. So here's what it is, as I understand it. You remember Craig and I?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he pitched the unannounced survival game.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, was it Schreier's Report that turned up in? I think it was. It was somewhere anyway. He worked on Legion artifact weapons. But anyway, so that happens. And, survival game exists now. And initially, this is per Jason Schreier's reporting, he clearly has people on the team talking to him. So, what do they do initially? They start prototyping it, I think, in Unreal Engine. Engine, it's got a really good, artist and designer-friendly editor. You actually often have situations in studios where you have the engineering team saying, please, we made a game engine, use our game engine. We love our game engine. And then all the artists and designers are looking at the Unreal editor just thinking, ease of use. I want to do Unreal. So that's an interesting thing that's happened in many companies. But anyway, so they make their prototype in the Unreal Engine. And then they try to repurpose it for a mobile game engine.
Spot on, boys. Genius.
Basically, they have this engine called Synapse. Originally, it was a mobile engine. I have to imagine it very much expanded in scope beyond that. But yeah, it was this thing called Synapse, and this was an internal engine. Now, thinking about an internal engine, it's very bizarre, because we see many examples of internal engines being used fantastically. But then the problem is, whenever that internal engine, whenever the executives want that to be used across projects, you basically have an internal game engine that has now got to do the job of a generic, expandable, off-the-shelf game engine, which then sort of means that you lose so many of the benefits of your specific game engine that you have designed to do this thing. The obvious example is Frostbite. Frostbite was made as a engine for FPSs. Suffice to say, BioWare ran into many problems when they had to, do role-playing games in third person on that game engine. You actually had the goofy situation, all the EA executives, wanting it to be, look at this, we'll have a unified technology group, business. I imagine that. I just imagine they get all jowlsy and excited whenever they talk. Hopefully they do. I'd be really disappointed if they were just like normal and stupid. But they talk up all of that great stuff. What happened in reality with BioWare? Well, you had people on the Dragon Age Inquisition team, Mass Effect Andromeda team, and Anthem team basically making their own versions of the same systems in parallel. And you're like, this is not the consolidation and efficiency that you executives wanted. Meanwhile, Vince Zampella, who gets ousted from Infinity Ward, has a massive personal beef with this guy called Robert Kotick, I believe.
I haven't heard that name in ages.
And the interesting...
God, I wonder what he thinks about all of this going down. I cunt's laughing.
He's in his golden helicarrier. Golden parachutes, that's so 80 years ago. No, it's far more than a parachute. So Yeah, I guess that's how a lot of those like internal game engines kind of being misused. That's how those things end up going. So yeah, they try to do this with the Synapse engine. The Synapse engine causes loads of issues. I've heard, like, anyway, that project was just sheer development hell. It's been leaking that the team size was like big, like sort of order of 250 people, which, it's like, it doesn't seem that game was ready for full production yet.
No.
And I guess that's like the weird thing. Okay. I think the F-35 example is interesting. That being said, a lot of the F-35 is the worst thing ever. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of that is not particularly true. So there's I forget the name of the development process of the F-35, but it was basically like, we're kind of doing every level of production at once. And because of the financial incentives and stuff, we're kind of doing this across the whole country. Now, in a way, some of those, there's almost like a form of stimulus. Some of those like really, big projects. But the thing is, it's like in game development, you can't do that because it's not going to work. It's like if your pre-production isn't like, if you're not locked in the vision of your game, so you know what you're doing and you have, you've answered your like core design questions.
Even if you've answered your core design questions, there's a lot of really tiny details that matter that you cannot predetermine. You come up with them on the fly because of testing and iteration as you go along, even without hitting technical limitations and things like that. It is still like game development is by design an iterative process. It's not something you don't go, here's the blueprint, go make it.
True, Tanner and the Osprey. But the Osprey does look really fucking cool though. Though also don't want to be callous. I'm pretty sure there was a recent disaster with an Osprey. But yeah, it's like, it just doesn't make sense to have a team of that size. You're going to utilize those people's talents very inefficiently.
I mean, that's what was happening according to Schreier, wasn't it? Didn't he say they had artists prototyping an Unreal Engine because they couldn't do it in Engine yet? Yeah. Or something to that effect. So they made stuff that they knew they're going to throw out just to kind of go, well, here's it working, even though I'll have to redo all of this work later. It's like,
and it's one of those things, like the thing that annoys you is like, surely this is like, this is not an efficient allocation of capital, right? It's like, this is not like effective capitalism. Like,
this is throwing
other incentives have polluted even that, which in itself done, sort of air quotes correctly, people, many people would obviously still have an ideological, point of disagreement on. But I think it's just that point. It's like, we're not, in many ways we are in that conversation, but in other ways it's not even that, conversation. It's like, this is just stuff that's being done really, really badly. And look, the games industry is actually a fairly young industry, and it's fairly legendary for, like bad corporate governance. You look at, the Twitter situation. Like, I'm not trying to be insensitive. Like, Twitter was notoriously like unproductive, notoriously, and I know like a lot of the fangs suffer from that as well, because I guess they just freaking hire, gobble, and then don't use any of it good. So in a case like this, you then get a challenge with the unannounced survival game. Like, you've killed a project and you've got rid of these 250 people. Is it quite likely that a lot of us could look at that and say, this was a bad use of money, bad allocation of resources, what the hell is going on here? Why do we have all these artists just wasting loads of time when, Synapse isn't ready? And, you could look at that and say, cut it. Now, the problem there is, like, what are these staff suffering from? They're suffering from bad leadership decisions, bad management decisions. And, like, it is not fair that they suffer. And it's that sort of thing, like, if management, if these sort of in the leadership tier, if they are to be as well compensated as they do tend to be, you're like, well, okay, but where's the merit? Where's the competency that's supposed to come along with that?
Earn your goddamn wage. Like,
yeah, it's like, hey, if a CEO is earning 100 times the median of their company, but that company navigates problems, lots of good, you know, I can begin to be like, well, you know what, that still feels excessive. But maybe that's the company that managed to dodge a whole bunch of these bullets that everybody else just seems to have wandered in. It's like, at least I could begin to be like, okay with that. But it's like, whenever you just sort of, you know, almost see like all of the friggin' banditry that's going on, and they're all just kind of getting loaded anyway, even though they're making bad decisions. I suppose, what is it that people say? You know, privatize the gains, socialize the losses. Which,
that's exactly it, like.
Yeah, I mean, sucks. And in so many of these cases, of course, the staff themselves, they are probably, okay, they, I think, early on, and I've seen this happen, you know, for friends and, you know, just people, where early on, there's fight left in them. And they're
get rid of that as soon as possible.
Yeah, so there's fight in them. And they're going to actually say, oh, hello, this is a problem. They're going to try to raise the flags. Say, the red flag over here, problem. Your capital is It's like, if anyone in the team just wants to come to me and be like, hey, Michael, we're spending money really stupidly here. I'm like, oh my God, great. I want to listen to you. You're supposed to be making a good point. Whereas like in so many of these big companies, it's a brick wall. So the people who will have known that like all of this was probably coming are probably the people on that team who have seen all of these problems, try to report them, not be listened to. Then the fight and the passion is ground out of them. And then their workday just turns into Jira. I'm going to do my Jira tickets and keep my head down. And you're like, well, that's not good.
Yeah, because you have no reason to, even, it's not even just about being like against or trying to help against management poor decisions. It's also, there seems to be very, very little reward in terms of actual, hey, you want to work really hard and get a thing? Yeah, well, why bother? Obviously personal satisfaction and, you know, all that stuff. But it is a little bit like, yeah, no, this is not like, there's the, who was it? I think it was someone in QA. Were they on Overwatch? I can't remember what it was, but they were tweeting about like how they were extremely en route for a promotion, and they heard that literally from their lead because they had like been working extremely hard, doing a great job, and then just the axe came down. They're like, sweet, all that work was for actually literally nothing. And they're like, man, that is actually pretty much rough. Yeah, and then that, you know, that's what leads to people being quiet quitters whenever you're whenever you're in an industry where you're like, well, what is the reward for working hard? Nothing.
Yeah.
But then why should I?
It's
okay,
like,
interesting. You've just de-incentivized your employees making good products for your customers. Well done.
It's like, I hate the idea of quiet quitting because it seems like such a demoralizing and depressing state of being, but it makes
like all things
rational sense because if that's what your work is going to be like, where you're like, well, I'm going to quietly quit here and put time into my family and hobbies and passions.
And not even just time, literally mental energy.
Yeah.
Like the amount of, especially in games when it's a passion driven industry, you're going to want to you'll burn yourself on that pyre to make good art. But it's like, well, if there's no monetary reward for that, or if the game that you're working on may not actually release.
Oh my God. Man, it's solved.
Have we fixed it?
Someone called Griff has just left a comment, one of our recent videos, saying, when are we getting Overwatch Classic? Mr. Spencer, I will take a finder's fee of $10 million for seeing this comment from Griff. Just do Overwatch Classic.
Yeah. Oh, very good. I would. Oh my God.
Season of loot boxes.
It would work. It would work. That's horrible. So yeah, that's all they have to do. Now, this actually is us talking about video games and do we need new ones in the survival game. Why would they bother making a new IP when they can make Overwatch Classic? Because Overwatch was good and they took it away. Just give Overwatch back. There you go.
I just love your frame. It's like, no, they have Overwatch and they won't give it back.
They do.
But that is kind of what it feels like to so many people.
Literally true. Oh, here's the good one. Here's the good one. Can we have that, please? Nah. You can have the new one that we've played with. And obviously completely fine to be. Overwatch 2 is a different game, etc. I'm sure people are happy with it. though the numbers don't seem to be completely. That might be monetization strategy.
I mean,
who knows?
Yeah, video games are hard, and like I do empathize with the Overwatch team. They have a very massive challenge, and like while I have absolutely like nobody said, Michael, this is the problem, but I have to imagine that when you are dealing with a content model like that, where there's a season every 9 weeks, the amount of like short-term optimizations that will rob you of long-term ability to maneuver must be crazy.
Yeah.
As I'm sure any of you guys will know, like imagine, you have a bit of like say university coursework, and what do you want to do? You want to like get into deep work and do that. But maybe you're just being thrown a short-term incentive everywhere to the point where, you just feel like you've blinked 4 months, 4 draining months are gone, and now you're facing a massive deadline. You're like, how did I get here? You're like, the answer is because probably whatever, system of work you're in is not, is not set up to help you win. And that's a completely hype. I don't know if that person exists. I'm sure they do. I just made that up. I straight up made that up. But I hopefully that's a feeling or vibe that will ring true, because I feel like most of us have been there.
Love making things.
And actually, it is. I mean, even for like us, people are kind of wondering like, why are so many YouTubers announcing they're quitting now? Well, actually, one of the problems is, you can be doing the thing you're doing, but now it's like to maintain the machine, it takes this amount of effort all the time. So then it's like, well, what if we want to try a new thing, or do whatever? You're like, oh, it's so hard to steer the ship. Yeah, I think that like happens sort of everywhere. So
yeah,
survival.
Hard to steer something going at high speed, right? Isn't that literally it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, thanks physics for giving us a good analogy.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's why, the video games industry, everyone's just like, make a left turn, or like, flips.
Like, sorry, we're on the Shinkansen. We can't. All right, sweet. There you go. No problem.
We're in the Shinkansen to hell.
Absolutely, 100%.
That is season 4 of Diablo. It's one big train level. That would actually be kind of sick, but for like a few hours, and then everyone would be angry. So yes, survival game. Now they're kind of saying survival game dead in service of what? More promising projects is essentially how they put it. Look, I think I know what that means. I think it basically just means more games in the Warcraft franchise.
Hopefully, because I guess it boils down to does the value lie in Blizzard games? And does it look like the value lies in existing IP that people are comfortable with and will buy? Because if you're thinking about it from the risk perspective, new IP is inherently risk. New IP used to not be very risky because game projects were a couple quid. And if you had someone who brought in donuts from Greg's in the morning, that would do most of the work for you.
John Carmack's just there, like furiously making 3 video games a day.
Yeah, like you want to just make some video games, you could get a load of boys down the pub and sort it out. Like,
it's that easy.
Yeah, which is obviously not true at all. But the you think about the glory days, and it's interesting we're talking about Activision and Blizzard, because Activision were the kings of that. They're just like, fuck it, let's just do some stuff. And it turned out great, and everyone had a great time, mostly. And you're like, that's actually kind of cool. You could make PS2 games for a couple $100,000 probably, and that'd do you right. But now video games are only worth it if they have 70 billion players. So if you want to make a game that everyone on the planet will play, then you need to make sure that happens, which means you need the biggest content, the most perfect thing of all time. And you can't assure that with a small team. You can't make sure of that without a billion years in pre-production, nailing every single thing down perfectly, and then 100 years iterating, and $400 million in a team of 250 or 300 people working themselves into the abyss. Never mind also all of the extra people all the extra outsourcing art, because you've just given Lemon Sky like 10 mil, and they're like, yep, we will have our legions create art for you, work away, no problem. And then that's why this stuff is like, the risk involved means that, well, how do you counter risk? You put more resources in, then it gets slightly less risky, except it doesn't, because that's not how video games work. And then came Palworld. Exactly.
Yeah.
10 grand, a load of boys, someone who's never worked on a game before, but they found a gun nut down the shop, went, fuck it, come on ahead, make some guns for us, big man. Okay, no worries. What's that? Version control? Don't know what that is. What's that? We haven't renamed any of our Unreal Engine executables. We don't know what anything is. Fuck, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because we just made the thing we want.
There is a point in that,
and it is ultimately the cost of video games is way too high. Baldur's Gate 3 is an interesting one because that was an expensive game. That was a very expensive game. It just doesn't feel like it because it feels like it was made by humans. Specialization
is like a large part of your reason there. It's like, well, like even it's just the concept of comparative advantage. People are like, why aren't we building automobiles in the UK? And the answer is, we'll do it cheaper over there. And they're more specialized and they're doing it at a bigger scale and this and that and that. So comparative advantage is something to think about. In making Baldur's Gate 3, Larian could probably make it cheaper than most other companies.
Yeah.
Reason being, not because Larian's in a place where it's cheaper to work, no. Reason being, they can work more efficiently on it because they have accrued a lot of skill and experience and they have retained staff who are good at doing specifically that because people don't, you've got like Divinity Dragon Commander and then Original Sin and then Original Sin 2. It's like, they made 3 hit CRPGs in a row. Oh, wow. It's almost as if they tried to specialize in a thing and do it really well and then people liked it a lot.
And that's where Blizzard had expertise back in the day. Blizzard were the RTS people. And they and then they made an RTS and everyone was like, oh my God, this is crack. This is absolutely the god's nectar of RTS goodness. Fantastic. You'll never beat StarCraft Brood War. StarCraft 2. But
I think you mean orcs in space.
Yeah, and they were very good at like all of that. They were very good at the things they did. They were good at Warcraft, and
that's why I bring up orcs in space because that's initially what people at not EGX, the one E3. That's E3, people they were like, this is orcs in space, and then they change up, some of the StarCraft formula, and people are like, oh my God, this is great. So it's like Blizzard, they then like learned, okay, well, we can't just do the same thing. We got to change it up a little bit, and then they did. And then when they're moving into Diablo, think about that as well. Now, of course, Diablo, Blizzard North, so it's like different team and stuff. But you can imagine, look at the sorts of art that you are making for Warcraft and a StarCraft, and think about what Diablo looks like. You're like, oh my God, it's almost as if you're doing similar things.
Unbelievable.
Do you remember an action RPG like? Just thinking about Diablo 1 compared to like, insane, big, flashy loot Adderall.
Yeah, ARPGs, very no, I guess they were already dopamine dispensers. It's just they added more dopamine dispensary to it. They added different avenues of it, where you'd be playing Lost Ark and you'd have the happy dopamine of loot dropping, but you also have the happy dopamine of this is an entirely new setting in the middle of my story for some reason. What's going on? That's a bit unfair. But like Diablo 4, yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit of like, again, there's actually something with Diablo 4. Diablo 4 is probably way more expensive than it ever needed to be. In terms of how in terms of how all high fidelity the assets are, how gorgeous it is, and how much all the cutscenes, the story were there. Well, I thought it was mostly fine, but still, you're like, you probably could have gotten, how many people have played more Halls of Torment than Diablo 4?
So I almost think about like compare like the ratio of cost to build versus hours of gameplay in a game like a D4, and then people will think, why did you make this entire open world? Why did you just not make the tile set plus dungeons? Because that's what people are going to play.
Yeah. You put a decent wrapper on it, but you don't have to put a wrapper on it that's like 100 years in development and $500 million, which obviously I exaggerate because I don't remember the numbers, but they were big numbers is the point.
Well, even, this is a hilarious point, right? And like, this is not to be all like, CAC Seeth, but think about the Pal World sales. Now, remember that Spider-Man 2, a game that cost like $320 or something like that, $1 million, it needed to sell 7 million copies at full price to break even. Now, in fairness, the full prices of these games are very different. Pal World is like half the cost, but I think its sales may end up making up for that. Point basically is, like, Spider-Man 2 was so expensive to make that they have been utterly bodied by Pal World in profitability.
To be fair, Palworld is definitely a bit of an exception in terms of being this absolute laser focused hit of everyone wants this and no one's bothered to make it yet. Here's $1 billion.
I just think like, why do we not try to make Valheims? Like, imagine if Blizzard going into survival game thought we'll do a Valheim instead of we will do a Valheim with 4 A's attached. It will be the most AAA Valheim.
We will finally get Valheim. at long last, what everyone wanted. Everyone who bought Valheim played Valheim and man went, damn, what if this had more bloom and more polygons? Then I would like it more. Absolutely everyone. That was the resounding feedback, was this game's low poly art style that actually made it very production friendly and also look very charming. No, I need this to be photorealistic or I'll scream. Yeah, so like
people are like, if Kratos uses the same animation to perform the same task in the follow-up game, I will shit myself and die.
Yeah, like even...
I know that's like one person that all of Twitter clowned on, but, you know, it's reducio ad absurdum.
Yeah, even like Spider-Man 2 got into some of that shit of people being like, the asset reissue. Like, that game still cost $320 million because it was a video game and also a movie at the same time. And you know what the best part is? Now, I haven't bought Palworld because I don't give a shit about survival games. I just want to read and have stories. I've become I'm off in my little corner reading VNs now. But like God intended for me always. But like, I liked Spider-Man. I thought the Spider-Man game was very fun and very good. And then they were like, here's a second one for £70. And you know what my answer was? Or my response to that was? I'm good, thank you. No, I'm okay, actually. I will wait for it to be on PS Plus. Because it's a PS5 game, it's not going to drop in price. I ain't going to wait for that to be in PS Plus in like a year or two. And that's a case of you just spend loads of money making an experience that isn't really worth it to me. And I'm a big fan of Insomniac, and I'm a big fan of their action games. I think Spider-Man was one of the most fun action games I played in a while, in totality, and the open world was nice and stuff, and I like Miles Morales enough. But I'm still just like, nah, I'm okay. I am good. I will not have that. I will give 30, 40 quid any day of the week to a smaller game that's a little bit more interesting. Like, I spent 40 quid on Under Night in Birth 2, Celeste there. And I was like, that's good. That's worth it to me. That's the fun-ass fighting game because it's got a fun core loop. And it's not burdened down with loads of stuff. Mm. And they didn't charge me 60, 70 quid for it. Because French bread of like 14 people were like, well, that's all we need to make a fighting game, right? We don't need to have an incredible massive story mode or a movie attached to it. We can just make the game and it'll be what it is. And you're like, cool, sweet. So there's a world where maybe if Blizzard weren't so far up their own asses with being the best of all time, like they were with Project Titan, and wanting to make Overwatch this perfect, amazing, brilliant thing. And that's one of the things that, like, Overwatch was kind of a salvage success because they went, yeah, we've got all of this shit. Fucking PvP hero shooter. It's fine. And everyone went, this is a thing. And it fits in a very small box. But I like the thing inside the small box, and it looks good. Obviously, like, it did look good, and that helped as well. But it was like, it was really perfectly crafted as this bit of, obviously people might disagree balance-wise.
Great example of a proprietary engine as well.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Like, Overwatch still feels stunningly smooth.
Yeah, like I didn't mention when you were talking about earlier, but Capcom are a good example of doing that really well. Their RE engine is like, here's a load of games that are what they are, and everyone plays them really well. And they spend years perfecting that. After they lost deep down to the bullshit of MT frameworks, and their last engine been terrible and horrible for most cases, and then they went, we'll do it again, but right this time, and they did. And then Capcom been pumping out winners.
And we're all thrilled that Square Enix have learned that lesson.
Yes, I think I hate Square Enix. I love their output and their devs, but I hate Square Enix with a passion.
So what you know the effect whenever they activate their shields in Dune, the new Dunes. I imagine that's what your soul does whenever you know that feeling, we call it like, oh, someone stepped in my grave. You know when your body just randomly goes, ugh, you don't know why. Or I think men commonly sort of know it as like the post-piss shivers, which apparently is a big thing. You're like, what? So anyway, whenever I mention Square Enix, I just imagine your whole soul going.
It does, yeah. It does, because it's that reason. But like, there's a world where if Blizzard weren't so far up their asses, they could have done the Valheim version of the survival game. They could have went, how do we make this as unique and as effective as possible? But instead, they probably sat down and went, what if we spend billions of dollars? Not billions, like, what if we spend $100 million immediately and see what happens? We need 250 staff to build this game. They're like, do you really? Could you not have thought of a way to do this for a little bit cheaper? Or are you all just all in this collective executive delusion over games needing to be massive and huge? Because you kind of argue, well, but what if Blizzard released a trailer and it didn't look very good? And then a load of pundits online would say, well, this doesn't look very good. But then if they release it, everyone goes, well, that's fun as fuck. And people would be like, all right, fun. I'll buy that. I'll play that. But none of them have any capacity of they don't have the courage to make a decision, because, and this is where I go back to the other time where it's like, people don't have they want to get rid of the risk, and they get rid of the risk by relying on things that they can see, such as fidelity and graphics and amount of content. And they're like, look at those. Those are objectively measurable things.
Our marketing spend will go zoom. If a big, look at Aiden Pierce and his iconic hat and amazing, totally real and shippable visual effects.
Yeah, like that's the kind of stuff you want to see. I'll see what
that's Watch Dogs one. I just remember not everybody may know who Aiden Pierce is, the iconic video game character.
Yeah, so there is a world where Blizzard did this a bit smarter.
Yeah, and it's actually one that they at one point said they wanted to get into. They said, look at Hearthstone, small team, more agile, made game good. They're like, well, where did that go?
They looked and went, this isn't making $1 billion, cancel it.
Yeah.
Ugh. We need $1 billion immediately.
So there is one more, right, the next thing that I want to talk about like properly as a stream subject is what this actually means for World of Warcraft. I am going to go and attain refreshment. Would you like me to get anything for you?
No, I'm good. I have a can of Monster here because I'm very tired.
I
will be signed.
Right, back very quickly. And there's a super chat from Everest, which I think you'll be happy about. Matt got me into Metroidvanias, and they're better than most AAA games. They feel like video games, which provide an experience which feels timeless.
Yeah, so this is exactly the thing where I've been an advocate for this as long as this stream has more or less existed, where like video games are fundamentally about experiences, as people have learned with Palworld, that people learned with like playing Lethal Company. People have learned it like recently. Obviously, you learn this like every year. There's at least like 4 games that come out, and everyone goes, holy shit, that's incredible. I want that. You look at that with Valheim. You look at it with, Vampire Survivors was maybe the biggest example of that. Mini Healer, yeah. Mini Healer's another good game where it's like, here's just a guy making a game. What's the point? What if you were a healer? What if you had an MMO healer gameplay in like a single player game? And that is genuinely fantastic for being like that. You're like, oh, that's just a game you want. And it's obviously that wasn't one of the ones that exploded. But there is solidly just like, here's a cheap experience, not a cheap even, a cheaper made experience that is focused on being good and not even necessarily always unique or interesting. Yeah, like Among Us, stuff like Celeste. Celeste is it's a platformer. It's a platformer, and it's crafted with so much heart that it's a beautiful experience to literally play. Like, it's also one of those indies that has like a real like strong personal story attached, which is something you like, I think is very important to like, obviously it's not important to a lot of like players. You look at Palworld and that's not story driven. You look at Vampire Survivors and that's, again, these are more gameplay and experience driven. Like Hades as well. Hades is another good example of, now obviously that's a very, very experienced studio. So not just anyone can do that, right? That was the result of a lot of grinding from an excellent studio. Like, their art is literally like next level. The writing's excellent. Gameplay is fantastic as well. So I think there is certainly a case of people should just maybe try to look outside of AAA, largely speaking. And that's where I think a lot of the contraction will hopefully see comes from. Hopefully we'll see a lot of the contraction from, AAA is suffering. Because someone asked ages ago that, what was it? It was something to the effect of, is this going to be a crash, right? Is this going to be a crash like in the old Atari days? And it's not. There are far too many gamers and there are far too many games. It's going to be, if anything, like there will be a contraction of some people will stop buying AAA games. And they'll not be super into indies or whatever else. They'll just put their money somewhere else. Or, they'll spend it in life stuff. But there's definitely a case for, and this may be me being hopeful, but the actual direction of, well, I'm not going to buy the newest, like me as an example, I'm not going to buy the newest Spider-Man. I didn't buy God of War Ragnarok. I like God of War fine. The prospect of playing Ragnarok, no, I'm okay. But I'd much rather take something more interesting. Prince of Persia is a good example. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is a Metroidvania. And I haven't played it yet, but that seems to be an exceptional game by Ubisoft Montpellier. And I can tell you from looking at it, that probably wasn't the most expensive game. Maybe it took a lot of time of iteration, but we kind of we should be looking at the things that are, what's the experience we want? What do we actually care about? Can we play things that we want to play? Instead of just being sold things that we're supposed to want to play that we kind of are just like, we like this because we're sold it, I guess.
Cars and Metroidvania.
Exactly. That would be absolute and unbelievable peak. However,
get 15 people to make it.
You don't even need 15 people. You do 10 to 15 people. That would be like 6 to 8 hours long. It would take probably 2-3 years to make, and it will be really good. And considering Blizzard's resources, they could probably make something that looks and feels similar to like the GOAT Hollow Knight in experience, because they've got some of the best artists. They've got some of the best gameplay programmers and designers in the world, and they have access to those people. So they could just do that. Hi-Fi Rush, Morto. That is an excellent game. That is a fantastic game, beautiful experience. I loved it to pieces. Some people didn't, it was fairly niche in a little bit of a case, but it was this massive success that Microsoft were screaming from the rooftops about. And then on its anniversary, they lay off 1,900 people instead of celebrating it. I was like, more of that stuff would be, I think, more of that stuff should be where I think people should spend their time. And that's where I kind of struggle a little tiny bit. Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush wasn't that big of a success. That was more of a cultural win than it was just an experiential win, because Hi-Fi Rush, by definition, a rhythm-based character action game, is going to be a little bit more niche. But the thing is, what if they made 5 Hi-Fi Rushes instead of whatever the fuck? Redfall, there you go. Why did they make Redfall? Why did they not make Dishonored 3 but smaller? Obviously, you go, well, do you want to make the same game forever? But what do you want to make something else instead of Redfall? Like, what's the...
Yeah, like the answer to a Terminator movie struggling is not to make Terminator Genesis.
Yeah.
Like, let us throw more CGI and wow, we want the problem.
Yeah.
Like, no. Make it smaller and good.
Yeah. Man, you all have very good taste. I'm seeing chat say some amazing things, like it was Friday Night Funkin', Theme Hospital and Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yeah. Those are good stuff, like Spyro or Crash-like games. See, that's the thing. They're not going to do $1 billion in sales, but that's the point. The point is you're supposed to not, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Whereas the survival game was very specifically a case of they put a shit ton of eggs in that one basket. And also the basket was like fucked to begin with, because they were just stupid and didn't know how to make a basket. The executives making the decision, I should say, not the actual teams who were developing stuff. Or like, what? Why not make just try the thing that's probably smarter? And obviously, I'm very much an armchair pundit here. Come like, if you just let me be Blizzard president, I'd have everything fixed in 5 years. Trust me, bro. Like, that's not what I'm saying here. But I am just saying, man, there's clearly why do you think Riot failed with their small Forge games then? The actual answer there is they did not market them at all. They did not do a fraction of what they needed to actually bring their existing audience over. They just made a load of indie games and threw them into the void. And those indie games seemingly did more or less fine. They're all quite good. But it wasn't a mass success for them. Because
by being Riot.
Yeah.
Like, I would just love to know development budget of those versus team cost of Riot Forge team.
Yeah.
Because it's Riot and they pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
It turns out, if you keep on just, if everybody just makes numbers go up to the point, the insane, like, just inflation of everything, like wages and rent and fucking everything that means that California is just an insane place. You're like...
Here's the Storm's a good example too.
Yeah.
Here's the Storm. If that hadn't been unceremoniously killed, it would have been probably like a median success over time. But that's even Here's the Storm itself was kind of greenlit as far as I understand off the, MOBA. Shit, we were late. And they're printing money. Quick, fire, build the money printer. We have the schematics for a money printer, build it. And they're like, the money printer we built isn't working. You're like, damn, what a shame. What a shame. Our money printer didn't work. Like, that's because you tried to build a fucking money printer. If we could build money printers just like that, we would just do it and all be rich. But instead of...
I am sure Tim Sweeney will beat Gabe soon.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
That being the point of, like, sometimes it's like the big money printer that everybody, like, is trying to get. Like, following Steam, trying to be Steam, very hard. Looking at big platform-based multiplayer live service shooter and then just like, we'll have one of those. Hard.
Yeah. Here's the Storm was making a reasonable profit for a long time, but it just wasn't making enough one. See, that's the thing I fear. I fear it all being opportunity cost of not having the most money of all time. Like, everyone is sitting going, no, this isn't more money than I can literally see with my eyes. That's not enough. Sorry, I can physically count the zeros on that. Try harder next time. You're fired now. Like, but what? I can't try hard if you fire me. Shut up, you're fired. Like, that's the part that I think bugs me substantially. I mean, yeah, Anthony, bigger companies should make more games, not bigger games. There is a point where you make too many games, Square Enix. Where you release 4 JRPGs that are like 60 hours long within 2 months of each other. Don't market any of them and then say, no, they all failed.
Ideally, at some point you need to kind of think, okay, we'll make more games. Just, think about the structure. How do you... Yeah. What does a company structure look like that is optimized to do that? Mm-hmm. No. This is like my version of talking about the Roman Empire. Although I just felt really targeted by that because I do think about the Roman Empire like multiple times a day. Like not one of the weird white statue people though, but
that's one of my favorite genres. Okay, people like.
I think about you can think about that, or if you want to be more like hoorah, then think about like Western militaries, and like one of the strengths with Napoleon was like the core system, just sort of structurally facilitated a a level of just being able to maneuver about the place because it wasn't all just one big clump of boys. And then that, allowed for maneuver and getting people off position and yada, 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 yada. Or, you look at, what would be taught in like, I think all the big Western militaries that was, I think, pioneered by the Germans in the First World War. More not pioneered, but I think they advanced it quite a bit. Where, it's more... like decentralized sort of command, right? Because who's the person who's probably going to know the most? Who's the person that, assuming they know the overall overarching objective, is going to work out what's the thing I should really do next? Well, it's probably somebody that you've trained the hell out of who is actually there dealing with the problem.
No, it's the armchair commander.
And I guess that's one of the things, like just doing the delete, grab Excel spreadsheet, delete. That's like the armchair commander bad thing. Yeah. Anyway, no, the management theory, interesting topic. I mean, genuinely interesting. And I wonder what lessons will be learned. I mean, because as we said, it's not like these people can just go into tech. Is tech's not doing... I mean, a lot of tech stocks are doing amazingly, but if you're working in tech, you're disruptible. Like even Citigroup, 20,000 layoffs last week. Out of I think their global workforce is 240,000.
That's so crazy to imagine.
Someone on our team was from the Big Five, one of the Big Five, like the big consulting firms. And, it's like anytime he's like, oh yeah, this is the old world I was in. You're just like, whoa! Turns out we're all doing this, and somewhere there's just skyscrapers full of consultants.
Yeah. God, I wish I could be a consultant.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
The amount of unsolicited advice I give out weekly for free, I'm not even getting paid for it. Some hustler I am.
Just public consultants.
Yeah. God damn it.
Oh dear. So World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah.
World of Warcraft.
Is it dead, Michael?
No. Far from it. It's definitely, there's a lot of, there's a lot in all this. Because obviously, if you're here, you're likely World of Warcraft, so we should talk about that, because I think a lot of people also do have quite a lot of fears, maybe, very worried, which is totally valid, understandable. So overall, my read in the situation is this. The one team that I saw the least of for like the most core development staff, I saw no World of Warcraft. I'm not saying that nobody has been let go of the World of Warcraft, team, but it does not seem like World of Warcraft has been tremendously impacted. And when you look at a lot of the things that have been said on the corporate level, they're essentially saying what's going on everywhere. Medium-term, risky bet. Long-term, risky bet. Goodbye. Short-term, safer bet. Put things into that. World of Warcraft is one of those things. And I suppose as players of that, what does that mean? It means that I think World of Warcraft will get... actually, yeah. Oh, yeah, so the other side of WoW, QA. Customer service. There will be, that's bad. And those are going to be outsourced. And that will be bad.
Very.
So it seems like World of Warcraft has been disproportionately unaffected compared to, say, some of the larger cuts that we've seen, obviously unannounced survival game, seemingly Overwatch 2 as well. That said, if you are on the World of Warcraft team, and my current understanding of things, if you think I should update my mental model, get in touch at tips@bellular.games, because I do want to actually... We do actually want to be as accurate as we can.
What?
Shocking.
Well, you should tell me that before we start. Yeah, I was just making things up for the crack. No, it seems like WoW is one of and always kind of has been. Obviously, there was a little bit of fear, obviously after Cataclysm, and a little bit of fear very recently, believe it or not.
And also the hedging of the bets with Titan.
Yeah.
Titan actually sucked up, from what I understand, Titan sucked up a lot of what could have been World of Warcraft, because they basically didn't believe that World of Warcraft would last as long as it did.
Yeah.
But I suppose it was all new territory anyway, so, I mean...
Yeah, so it seems like they've kind of proved a little bit that they are capable of supporting it, or at least that they trust it. Maybe it's because of the updated mental model of having the live service industry, and then turning and going, damn, why don't we have a live service game? We need a live service game. Quick, Overwatch 2. We need a live service game. Quick, survival game. And over in the corner, Ian's just sitting there, his hand up like, I think our subscription MMO that has mounts that it sells and has patches every 6 months back then, I think it counts, but it took them 2 years ago. You're a live service game in the corner. We didn't see you there. And now they're like, okay, well, we can just go and, what if we give you money, can you make the live service game wheel spin a bit faster? And, John and Ian are sitting in the corner going, fuck's sake, we've been asking you for years. Jesus Christ. So I feel like that's the case of, everyone's, they kind of had that cash cow there. And it seems like of everything, they're more than happy to go, well, this is the we're moving into a risk-free zone. This thing works and is proven. And also, we just announced 3 expansions and people were happy. So that sounds like 4 to 6 years of money. We'll have that, please.
Very, you know, like people would traditionally say is that a recession? Put your money in McDonald's. People are always going to eat cheap food. You know, it's like the World of Warcraft team's
cheap
almost
food. McDonald's is this?
Yeah, true. But you know what I mean, right? It's like, yeah, loud train outside. Choo choo. Yeah, it's like that. World of Warcraft's the safe, dependable thing. Plus, like we even talked about the idea of, you know, oh let's do a Karazhan Metroidvania. Then they're like, good idea, but here's a store mount. That's opportunity cost.
Yeah, I know.
That's probably why Riot Forge isn't happening.
Probably, yeah.
Because people are only focusing big things that move the needle. Yeah. So, you know, they're going to be like, oh, that's really cute. You want to make a Metroidvania about Karazhan. Isn't that nice to have? Doesn't move the needle.
Wait. I've got it. I've saved it. There's going to be...
You're about to give out consulting for free.
I'm about to give out a Nostradamus tier fucking wild prediction. And if it turns out true, I'm going to be like, I'm going to explode. If we look at the games industry successes in 5 years, and I have to thank Ubisoft Montpellier for saving video games in some capacity.
Whoa!
Depends on how much Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown actually sells.
No copies.
But if that game sells enough that Ubisoft say, we put out a wall of text that wasn't apologizing for a shit game. We made a game and everyone said it was good. What if Ubisoft gets so addicted to being praised for making games instead of bullied for it that we see a meaningful shift towards smaller, higher quality games as a direct result of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown? What if Blizzard look at Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown and say, we can do that better and in Karazhan?
World of Warcraft: The Lost Prophets. Oh, that was I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not that one. Yeah. 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 That was not a. Yeah. You want to.
No, it's viral marketing. World of Warcraft: The Lost Prophets. No, not that one.
Perfect. That is actually some like 2008 games marketing. Like it really
that
is.
That reminds me of I was watching Conk on Earth, and you know Michelangelo's David. He just calls him Michelangelo's David. Like that's his name. Fucking killed me.
Very good. Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, look, World of Warcraft's going to probably see continual investment. It's probably going to suffer from hiring freezes, though, and that kind of thing. And there will be a degree of silent layoffs via, in like RTO stuff. And that's just to say, no matter what, your opinion, perspective on, RTO, personally, I'm advocate for hybrid, where, and change your rules wherever it makes sense to do so. It's almost as if one-size-fits-all solutions are lazy thinking.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think one of the most important things for this, is World of Warcraft okay, is that the update we have from the executive producer and vice president for World of Warcraft, Holly Longdale, is our roadmap and plans for Classic aren't changing. Our plans for Classic and Modern, aren't changing. So
it would be really funny if she called it retail.
Yeah, yeah, just Classic and retail. Yeah, so
it's like, Holly, were you in Nostalrius? Really?
I bet Holly plays more Ascension than Season Discovery.
Okay, that would be really funny.
But yes, I actually obviously go, well, what if not true? Because what if she didn't know? What if something else happens? But it seems like they're not going to just be like, 1900. Sorry. We actually meant to say 2400. Sorry, we'll get the other 500 sorted soon. They're not going to do that. So obviously, their plans for World Soul Saga are just going to continue as they are. Maybe very slightly impacted. Maybe in the short term, impacted pretty heavily in terms of like stuff being like maybe the next couple of weeks, next month of everyone just been really low morale. But I imagine that they probably have a decent enough team to be able to pull that back. And keep pumping along.
That's definitely like, by being a safe bet, Warcraft the franchise is a beneficiary of something like this.
Yeah.
But it is at the cost of massive player-facing bad things like CS. People say, oh, Blizzard CS has only got worse over time. Yeah. Because sort of tickets per hour has to increase. And there's, been layoffs in CS departments before.
Beatings will continue until closure rate increases, like.
Yeah. So that's really bad. Community managers, we have lost excellent people. As I tweeted, every point of contact that I've ever had at Blizzard, I don't mean like somebody, that I know. I mean like, their job is to do things with...
liaise with you, like...
Yeah.
Or, not you specifically, of course.
Every...
You've got one person at Blizzard hired just to keep you on the reins.
Every single one has been laid off. None of them have, left voluntarily. Or been no. So it's crazy. Yeah. Of course, a lot of that, specifically in EU, they moved out of the Versailles office, and we all know how that went.
Yeah, so I guess overall, there's a case of it's more complicated than this is good or this is bad. If you were to say, in totality, there are definitely going to be issues with World of Warcraft as a result, but they might be outshone by the fact that Blizzard is now a little bit more lean in terms of focuses. Depends on what else is going on. May have a little bit more capacity for, okay, well, we have to put more eggs into the World of Warcraft basket because we don't have these projects coming up soon. Mm-hmm. So there might be a benefit in that eventually, if that is, well, okay, it's hard to say because they got rid of the entire survival game team. It's not like, well, they cut half the survival game team and moved them all back onto World of Warcraft or to World of Warcraft. Nothing like that. So it is a little bit of, there will probably be some negative things, but it doesn't diminish the kind of medium to long-term hope of World of Warcraft because it is now their thing more than anything else. And it is sad to go, well, they've got nothing except World of Warcraft now. I guess they have to make it really good. But there's a little bit of truth in that, which is in terms of, not even in terms of any literal numbers, but in terms of them going, we're Blizzard, what do we do? Diablo 4's latest season's a bit pants. Overwatch 2's a bit pants. Warcraft Rumble, no one's mentioned that, so it must be doing just fine. If not any worse or better.
Doing your searches for the guild?
I have done my searches yet.
Good.
Yeah.
We're watching.
Yeah, I know you are.
You better do your searches.
So then, there's...
Nobody knows what Surge is.
Yeah, and then...
There's 4 Rumble players.
What else did Blizzard make? Hearthstone. And that's just sort of...
yes, Battlegrounds.
That's dying a slow death, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't seem they've got traction on new things that they've tried. And a lot of the new things that they've tried have seemed suspiciously like attempts to recapture the win of Battlegrounds, but in a more monetizable format.
Yeah, so hey, we unlocked the Rathian. Don't search him. Good, nice. Good having him. But so do they have anything else, actually? I don't think so. Outside of literally unannounced projects that probably got destroyed, but we don't know about them yet or something. So I guess it's kind of weird. If Blizzard aren't doing anything else, then, and if they're moving into this risk-free world, then they're not likely to start any big projects, right? Possibly.
The way you say that. This risk-free world.
They're moving into economical situations that make substantial risk a lot more dangerous. Let's say that, because Microsoft might just kick them out the door one day and go, oh, that was a big risk and failed to tell you. No one wants to take that risk when you have a cash cow that you can just milk harder. So maybe World of Warcraft will get milked a little bit harder, but it'll at least be, it'll be fed nice new employees. Or not new employees. It'll be fed, I don't know, it'll be fed energy.
At what point does this, does it just go, I don't like this anymore, and, suddenly the cow has bolted and is trampling people. and is in a blood rage, which I suppose is just that's the community going, no, this is a bit too much, which, you know, we do have to be aware of, you know, like sort of monetization wise.
Yeah. So I don't imagine that getting substantially worse.
No, they have the golden ticket with the subscription, like truly.
Yeah. Like being able to 6-month and 12-month people reliably is so crazy, especially with the game like doing better, largely speaking. And I think that's like, it's not a shining, this is good for World of Warcraft, but it is there's no fear to be had as a World of Warcraft player that anything notable is going to change in the medium to long term.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not moving out of the direction that we're at. Whatever. Yeah, you guys get it. Yeah. So that's kind of that.
Fascinating experience, isn't it? Fascinating.
Yeah, more is bound to come out as time goes on.
Well, I can imagine this is something I actually noticed. It was now, to be fair, like journalists nowadays are very good at getting internal memos and stuff that are like just kind of freely shared around because of the lack of risk. But there is certainly a case of no one trusts their company anymore, which means we're probably going to move into a case of substantially more leaks.
It's that weird thing where, you know, it's like when I think of like business and entrepreneurship, they all have, you know, to me, they by default always had positive connotations because what that was let's try and like, you know, do a thing. But in my head, like, no, that's small business, which I mean, I'm a bit biased because that's what we are, but, you know, versus like the like dehumanized, you know, why does it feel like this business is, you know, operating like a really shitty government? Or, you know what I mean, right? It's like, man. It just sucks.
Yeah, and that's the big energy. It's like, this is genuinely starting to get harrowing. Like, following the news, especially when you go to Twitter and you see the like the people who are getting laid off and the suffering this inherently brings to them, because that outnumbers any of the benefit that you see, right? Because you see a load of people complaining, or not, it's complaining sounds like the wrong word because they're well in the right to complain because their lives have just been upended reasonably unfairly, or, you know, I can't quite sure I can literally say unfairly, but you know what I mean. Like, it certainly feels that way. Even you've got people who are surviving and they're like, well, to hell with this. We're scundered, like. We are.
Remember, Matt? Remember?
What are you showing?
Remember?
Oh, yes.
Look at this, everybody. Look. It's up. Isn't that fantastic? Wonderful. It's green. See that, Matt? It's green. That means good.
So what you're saying is...
And that's the same color as the American money. So that's good too.
So it is.
Look at this. Look, what's also green.
Tango
Today's sponsor, Tango Apple.
It's not today's sponsor, unfortunately.
No.
I'll see if I can just I want to show that to people a little bit better here.
Oh, I love some Mist.
Let me just make sure this actually works, because my OBS settings break every time I open the stream.
Woohoo!
Yes, that doesn't work. Cool. Sweet. Fantastic. That's literally just a broken page that had said test Gremian from last week. So let me very quickly tell OBS where the fucking window is again, because for some reason it does this every week. And where is it? Because there it is.
Okay, you take the mic back, and I'm going to do this manually. Look at this. Take the mic back. Oh wait, do you have it?
Hello.
Is it zoomed in? No, but
no, that's horrible.
I think they can see the broad direction.
That's horrible. Let me actually do this properly.
Damn it, people, Matt, these days, they want practical effects.
There we go. Oh, honestly, I'd love to do some practical effects, but there you go. So, what view did you have it on? 6 months, sir? Yeah. So you look at this. And,
6 months has been pretty good.
Yeah, and look at that. When was this announced?
It's just continued to be pretty happy. It's one of those things. If they, it's what. So one of the real, strong things is, in our team, one of our team members has, I guess, that like corporate background, but like, actual big, important. He understands the financials and the stuff, and he was kind of saying from his perspective, well, likely in this quarterly report that they'll have in a few days, what's going to happen? The big $69 billion asset will say, hello, that it's been purchased, and maybe this is, he's sort of saying, like, this is sort of saying, shareholders, look at this. We've acquired the new thing. We've already tightened its belt, improved its efficiency. We are a good C-suite. Keep it up.
I can't believe Microsoft has doubled its value in the past 3 years. That's impressive.
Here's the thing, though. People are good at understanding slow growth, building a wall, something like that. People are bad at predicting exponential growth.
I wonder why.
And people are awful at predicting step change growth. Mm-hmm. And I think what's being reflected in Microsoft, like especially quite recently, is, people are beginning to think about step change growth, as in if they end up being a market leader in AI, if they have, say, that relationship with OpenAI, and in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, they, who the hell knows, but maybe some AGI gets cracked and Microsoft is the person who's there. The person. Microsoft is has their hands in that cookie jar. That's kind of some of this pricing in. It's like the difference between a growth stock and a value stock.
It is just really funny because you think of Microsoft, think, how could you be much bigger than Microsoft, who have the operating system on every computer in the world? And you're like, fuck it with her. It's fairly difficult to logically actually keep in your head this prospect. And he's doubled in value in 2 years, like, or 4 years, like. Fair play to you boys. Fair play to you boys. Fair play to you.
Ultimately, yep, that's the validation of these are good decisions that they feel.
Yeah,
they need.
403,000% all time. Well, that's not bad. Like,
we can travel back in time to 1986.
Yeah, fair enough, boys. Fair enough. Yeah.
But that's the point. So if you want average growth, buy the S&P 500. Mm-hmm. Sorry, no, if you want average growth, buy the Vanguard All World, which in itself is, because it's market weighted, does actually just have a lot of the S&P 500 in it anyway. But it's buy the S&P. You'll get average growth of all this stuff, even though a lot of these tech companies, of course, because it's market cap weighted, are over sort of there. If you want to make disproportionate, big crazy numbers, then...
Which is the only thing anyone really wants, right?
You don't go into the S&P 500. You then try to find what is a non-consensus belief that you are, that you have a high enough level of, confidence in that you can then sort of place that bet, which a lot of people would say with a company like a Palantir, what a lot of people, whenever, like Tesla in 2015. So it's market-wise, I just find it's interesting how all of these things respond. And I suppose I just find as the what that is kind of supposed to be doing is finding the fair market value for this asset, which is a share in this company. Mm. So it's almost, it's like a fact-finding machine for that. I just find the way that all of that operates to be goddamn fascinating. As it pertains to COVID bubbles. And I guess that's all, unfortunately, the sort of thing that we now have to be aware of in games. Even, think about the stuff with all these stocks. Tiny Build, that's developer turned publisher, goes public, number down, versus Evil, an indie publishing label, gone. Other impacts. Team 17 goes public, number go up, number go down, big cuts everywhere.
Interesting.
Remember when CD Projekt Red number went wee?
Yeah, that was.
Then it went oh.
Very roller coaster stuff in video games. It's very good.
Yeah. It's just that crazy volatility and churn, both in those numbers, but then the impact of where they go. Where it's numbers bad, probably going to be bad for the next 9 months. Well, I guess we'll just have to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So yeah. How's it going?
There we go.
How are you?
There we go.
It's almost the end of January 2024.
It is. I don't. I almost wrote that in like the last ghost post I made, and I decided not to, because it was like I don't want to show up in people's inboxes and say, "Did you know 2024 is 1/12 over already? Have you accomplished anything?" Because I sure. Anyway.
Do you remember whenever Red Letter Media just did "fuck you, it's forever" and then stopped?
Yeah. Yeah.
They were right.
Yeah, we're here. We are in fuck you, it's forever.
But
I'm sure something will change.
While that's going down, you may as well squeeze out a few keys.
I'd really rather not, but yes.
So I'm pretty sure. No, I don't think it's push week currently.
No,
I don't think it is push week.
No.
Oh, well. Of course, we will let you know when it is next push week.
Well, the bar is free to push all he wants now, so
it's push week for some. I don't think I particularly feel like going super deep dive into like all of the WoW stuff. There isn't a great deal anyway, but it's the loads of people do actually come here to hear about WoW stuff, and obviously this has dominated the news. I feel like it would be irresponsible to not go into this and properly talk about it. I also understand a lot of you are like, well, okay, let's hang out and talk about the game thing, and to some that might be quite a challenging moral or whatever position. And it's that thing. When I see a lot of developers talk about this, they'll say, yes, like all of this stuff, company, et cetera, sucks. But we actually do care about the things that we make, and we would be happier if you enjoyed the things that we make. Like that is the opinion prevailing that I see from people who have worked in these teams.
Yeah, it's kind of they're there to make video games that are fun to play. Like, we'll try to at least do that in some capacity. It's like I don't find there to be any moral quandary in, I guess, what you could describe as the shared form of escapism we all thought was really cool. To just call video games escapism is unfair, because they are, profound experiences at times, stuff like that. Especially when you're playing social video games, you can make friends and all those things. They're far beyond just escapism. But it is ultimately still like a hobby in a sense. Sometimes it's a hobby that's sometimes a lifestyle, and to people it's a lifestyle. Like us, believe it or not, but at the same time, I don't find any moral issue in going, and that was shit news, let's talk about other stuff. I think that's more than fine. I think. Or maybe that's just horrible cope, because I don't want to talk about the bad news for another hour and a half. Maybe.
Ain't that
Maybe.
it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think so. The next thing to talk about then, pirate stuff. What's going on? So, patch 10.2.6 is the next thing on the horizon for World of Warcraft. It has hit its public endpoint. This is one of the many steps in things related to servers and CDNs and stuff that we don't really need to explain, but it just means that things are happening and it's getting closer.
And Ibarra's gone, so if there are pirates, then no one can point at them and say, haha.
I can't believe it, Matt. You're the only journalist who has worked out why Mike Ibarra's gone.
Because there's pirates in the expansion and patch, and he doesn't want to be made a fool of. Can't
have a liar running the company.
Perfect. Fantastic.
What a joke.
Yeah, Doxon. I did see someone point out, was that Skull and Crossbones about the layoffs? And that was very, very silly. No, but funny-ish, slightly. If it wasn't such a horrible thing, it would be funny. But yeah.
Yeah, so
it's on the CDN.
This means that stuff is going on. Seemed like there was some testing playing going on over the Christmas holidays, and yes, we can likely expect something to be going on here. I've said going on a lot. I'm going to stop that.
Yeah, good luck, because now you've thought about not saying it, you'll say it every single time. It happens to me with every single.
Let's see what's up next, because Blizzard's staff, Orlando and Bex, have all they've all been teasing, so that's all very cool. About whatever's going to be on this patch, and it's certainly
they're excited for it.
You can sort of run the gamut of things. I'm even thinking, okay, is your version of Faded going to be like Night Squall pirates invading the raids? I'm not sure. What is Evergreen Island Expeditions? That's mad.
Go away, Daco.
THD would be so happy. Be amazing.
No.
There's no Azure. There's no player power, and it doesn't matter. Yeah. So Night Squall pirate faction. That's one of the cool things was there in patch 10.0.7, where we got this character Night Squall. He has been beyond the map. He's been to the other side of the world. Supposedly he's made it back, and now he's sort of rallying up his grand pirate fleet. Recruiting from the Defias, recruiting from all the pirates and just rumbly people from in and around the world of Warcraft. There then is Plunder Isle, a place that I have made videos on probably 4 times, or I know it's appeared in like 4 lists.
Yeah.
I think in one of them actually beside Culturas, which then ended up being the thing. So Plunder Isle, we don't exactly...
yes, this is a fan-made concept, by the way. Yeah. This isn't actually... We haven't just leaked the next expansion or anything.
So Plunder Isle, it has lore that exists in the role-playing game. I mean, like, the big, thick sourcebook role-playing game where the TLDR is the leader of the Bloodsail Buccaneers is a Lordaeron noble. And it's all fairly cool. There's also a place that's appeared in some maps called Hiji. And I think the thought is that might be the original troll name for what's called Plunder Isle because of, piracy.
Yeah, so this is specifically, like, the reason we think this is could be something could be doing is because this is from the RPG. And obviously this RPG is old as hell. Yet you look and you see the Broken Isles and you see Tumas Agaris, you see, the Nighthold or what was it? Oh my God, why have I lost its name? Why have I lost his name?
The Nighthold?
The city. Surmar. I've forgotten. That was Zal Shirat, I believe. Or Zal Shirat might be the...
Nice. I don't see the Isle of Thaldranath.
Yeah, anyway, something. There's differences here because there's the Surmar ruins up there. Well, we know Surmar's there. Storm Reaver Bay didn't exist, although Storm Reaver Bay was mentioned. Zandalar here was Zuldazar and with Mount Magamba being obviously in the game much, much, much later. So it is a case of if they're looking at old stuff to put in, which it seems they are doing, then you go, there's Plunder Isle. Jam it in there. It could go somewhere. It could be over here. It could be over. Well, you can't see because it's blocked by the close-up of the rift. But we'll be going over to the bottom left for our next adventures in the War Within. So maybe we'll go past Tel Aviv on the way. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Oh, and expeditions revisited.
That would be an interesting use of time walking.
I think I would like that.
Yeah, there's a way that could be good. I think one of the big problems. One of the problems it suffered from, like, I would like one of those that is PvE and is hard. Hard! Like, absolutely tune those NPC, like, player thingies up to the tits and make a big fun thing. But also, don't have us do 5 of them a week for artifact power.
Yes.
So
that's the most exciting part of anything that was old and annoying. Because we're like, well, could you bring the old or they announce, we're going to bring the old and annoying thing back. And we turn around and go, yeah, but the annoying part is dead because you decided not to do it anymore. And they're like, spot on. Sweet. No more of this awful nightmare. Because even if they turn around and said, we're going to put a load of effort into, or not a load, we're going to put a decent bit of effort into making Torghast a thing you can do now. I'd just be like, work away, boys. I trust you not to make me go in there on reset day to farm currency to make it legendary. I trust you won't do that to me.
Yeah.
So I expect it will be a little bit more fun. Yeah.
Like, I mean, they put gear on it and stuff, but it would be one of many, you'd sort of presume. Yep. So there you go. Pirate stuff. We'll probably find out next week. Who knows? It could obviously be. Thinking that, I don't know.
That's a cool man.
Community management teams, publishing teams, marketing teams, considering that they've all been impacted.
Yes.
Maybe there was a plan to release this next week. Maybe that won't happen. Who knows? I'm sure for many producers and managers in the Warcraft team, they are now thinking, but none of our targets have changed for things we have to do. Oh dear.
It's okay, because in times of personal strife, if you just put your head down and work, it'll all solve itself.
Chin up.
Chin up.
Stiff upper lip.
Yeah.
That's it. Pretend you're a Tommy in the trenches.
I go watch. Was it 1911? Is that the movie name?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one about profound human suffering. Yeah.
No,
sorry, I mean about hope.
Not people cry at the end. It's not stiff upper lip enough.
Ah, yes, of course. I was just
instead of that scene, it should have ended for. Just look at the camera for king and country.
Yeah, I was just about to completely offhandedly spoil that entire movie because I had
don't do that.
Not gonna do that. Good movie.
Yep.
Go watch 1911. Very harrowing.
And yeah, I mean, certainly speaking of 1911, bind on account catch-up gear has been added.
If you
feel like I have to double down and just make the segue completely ghoulish.
If you know in what capacity 1911 could be connected to this, please let us know.
Yes.
Otherwise, here we go. They've added catch-up gear. And you're not going to believe this. You see in your currency tab, not in your bag, you see this absolutely gigantic stack of unused flight stones that you're just burning through like crazy. You can't find a way to burn through. You're just millions of flight stones and nothing you can do with them. You can spend them on some alt gear.
I mean, I'm glad the game's like 64-bit now.
Yeah,
I have so many.
Yeah, I've got billions of flight stones, and I'm like, well, thank God I can just gear out all my alts now. Never mind the fact that I have like 150 flight stones.
It's okay.
With your luck, way more.
You just get 1 million dupes. So the downside is this is just a random box. Who knows what you'll get? But that is there. There's also a PvP box for 375 Conquest. The gear from it is 454 in PvE and 489 in PvP. But obviously, PvP doesn't exist in World of Warcraft, so I don't even know why they added.
Yeah, I don't know what this is about. This must be like the alternate timeline document slipped in here. Whoops. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, to be frank, if I spent 350 flight stones on a box and it wasn't exactly literally what I wanted, I would just alt F4 right there.
How many dungos is that?
Oh, it's about 7,000 dungeons by my calculations. Or like a full raid clear if you're lucky. Something along that anyway. I was like, damn. Ah, yes, the PvP box is Vinruki in his cardboard box out in the street. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh.
Very good.
Spot on. So yeah, that's that. They've added this.
Yeah.
Took too long, but also a week later than normal.
A week later.
Look at that. Isn't that the impact of the layoffs already? We're so slow with content. It's over. It's over. Oh, the war within won't be out till 2027 now. In all honesty, it's a bit weird, but it's whatever.
Yeah. It does feel bizarre. Just like, and anyway, back to the regularly programmed news.
This box comes super late considering I probably deleted 10k flight stones this season already by just being capped.
There you go.
You play a lot of World of Warcraft.
You found them?
Play a lot of World of Warcraft.
Here, Mr. Dakor on our team probably has many flight stones.
That's true. Deary me.
No, I think we're just spending too much time in the Torment Nexus to have the flight stones.
Yeah.
Which actually does bring me to something. Just actually goofing around on my Paladin and like just goofing, getting some gear, going into the Tomb of Sargeras, just going, oh, Legion was really cool. Really good. Fun. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm in a little cozy phase in WoW.
Yeah, like on Monday we did an alt. Why did I change that?
Oh, the alt run. That was really fun.
Alt run of just people hop onto your alts. Doesn't matter what gear they are, as long as they're like 400-ish. And we ended up clearing normal, like pretty handily enough.
Yeah, one thing
I was tanking it like 430 as a Paladin. I was like, it's still a bit too easy to tank. I didn't ever worry about dying, but I was like, this is pretty comfy.
Like, I wish that the old raids were tuned up because actually now they do feel broken.
Yeah.
They feel like they can all be 5-man. It just doesn't really work out. But the variety that our team has had by doing, doing Black Temple, doing Ulduar, then doing the normal alt run, it's like we still got to do, it's post the curve kills, so I guess we're kind of more of a once a week thing. But it's just meant like we've got to do a different thing, bring an alt to something. And that's been fun. So I suppose my feedback is more time walking raids, please.
Yeah, a little bit of that variety would be very interesting. I guess I'm not super very interested in Fated Season, whatever they call it this time, Season 4, for it being like a whole new season of gameplay, do the same thing over and over again, because that's generally not where I fall in terms of enjoyment. I really don't appreciate when it's like, yes, we've arbitrarily changed all the numbers do it again. Fucko. I kind of like a sense of continued progression. But I'm actually looking forward to, because we're talking about it quite a bit, like which raid was better, because we talked about this a week or two ago, but like raiding the raids and thinking about them and stuff. And I would genuinely quite like to do, I'm looking forward to Vault again. I'm looking forward to going into Vault again.
Yeah.
And Aberrus sort of a wee bit, but I'm definitely looking forward to doing Vault again. With maybe I'll like do it as Feral Druid again. Maybe I'll like tank as Paladin, whatever. Because we're thinking of doing Fated, like our the season 4 as what do you call it? As alts for a change, instead of just like kind of making it serious. Because we play our main, we'll probably blast it at no time. Because we are familiar with all the mechanics. So we're like, yeah, I can just do. Looking forward to it.
I'm genuinely looking forward to it. It's that thing. I know like not everything's, it's still been bumpy with WoW, but some of that is the nature of the beast with a big live game. But like my overall satisfaction as a player of World of Warcraft is like, up.
Yeah, I will say I think my playtime has dropped pretty drastically overall because I'm not super interested in the world content, and like I have transmogs that are very nice. I don't really fancy playing a bunch of alts. Like I don't like. I don't know, maybe it's like M+ isn't super engaging for me this time around. I don't know for whatever reason that is. But it's like I'm having fun playing a little bit here and there.
Well, I think the thing is you're not forcing yourself to play it, therefore you're not like when sometimes
Shadowlands really burned me out really bad for that, really horribly. Like.
But yeah, I mean, even for so many people, the way it's like you almost play a game out of habit, even when you're every League of Legends player has just said, yes.
See, that's something interesting. I go back and forward. Sometimes I really dislike having a game that I habitually play because I realize, what have I done? For the past like 3 weeks, I've not had any experiences. I've just played the same game again.
I kind of love it though.
It's like I like that sometimes, but other times I don't.
Yeah.
So I am currently in a phase where I'm like, I wish I had a habit game that I could kind of low key grind, but also have the energy for like bigger experience and stuff like that.
You already do, Matt?
What?
Warcraft Rumble.
I don't really grind that because I hit the wall where my progression is entirely blocked by me not spending any more money. So like
grind PvP. You got to improve our guild chests. You've got to unlock the seasonal rewards for the guild.
We can do that with the surges. We're fine.
No,
we've got all.
No, you need to spend microtransactions so that you can get more sigils.
No.
I have more sigils than you, Matt.
And you have like 80 more sigils than me. I'm never catching up.
And do you know what happened when the jailer had more sigils than our heroes? It was bad. So I'm just saying that if you do not have the sigils,
the only habit
games have.
Yeah, the only habit game I play is Blue Archive, and that's because I'm reading the story and doing my dailies. It's fun. But that's the thing, it's an experience because I'm getting a new story.
If Warcraft Rumble came with a story, wouldn't that be crazy? And actually, honestly, they can do good. Take it away.
Honestly, I cannot, because I knew it didn't have story, but even like playing through Warcraft Rumble compared to other like gacha games and stuff, I'm like, why is this so undercooked? It didn't need a story, but I swear to God, if you had a story in that shit, I would be so down. I'd be playing it a hell of a lot more, because the progression just being do more mission, I'm like, that's fine, because it's kind of a little bit how it like my time playing. I'm not going to talk about it forever because I know I brought it up like every stream since I started playing it, but like playing Blue Archive has been fun because it's like some days I'll wake up and
really.
Yeah, some days I'll go, I feel like doing some missions. Some days I'll go, I feel like doing some hard missions. And then the days I don't, I'm like, I'll just read the story. I'm like, look at that. This provides variety of things for me when I'm in different moods.
You've actually had a transmedia experience within the same flipping app.
Exactly. Kind of close. But Warcraft Rumble should have a story. Stories are important.
Or even just taking inspiration from Hearthstone. And it's that sort of thing. I know like there's a lot of clowning in Hearthstone, and I totally get why, but like, and to be honest, I should really play Battlegrounds because I remember enjoying TFT a lot, and I also do fundamentally like Hearthstone. Whenever they did single player stuff, like it felt like WoW. Remember the roguelite?
Great, yeah, 100%.
I remember it's back whenever I was working on the iMac, and I was in there, and there was just one day we were both just playing it, I think on the one computer, talking about it, and like hours passed.
Those solo adventures really, really were, everything about that little bit of experimentation I thought was super fun. It's very good. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Co-op Battlegrounds is super exciting. Interesting.
Oh, for Hearth, yeah.
Yes.
Fair. Actually fair. Cool. And maybe they could do some more. If they actually start to say, okay, we got to look at what our players are actually doing. Let's shift to doing more and more and more with Battlegrounds. You'd sort of wonder, like, what does a Battlegrounds solo adventure look like? I have, by the way, a horrendously uninformed view of this entire situation. All I know is the fundamentals of auto battler gameplay I think are really cool. People seem to love Battlegrounds and PvE, but that involves content. Content involves artists, and we just killed them all and drank their blood.
Yeah, I think that's the funny thing is story provides so much context for things like that. That if you can have really good story alongside, and I think this is what a lot of like Japanese gacha nailed, because they're happy enough to go, here's a fucking visual novel inside our game that's otherwise good, no story whatsoever. And it just kind of works super well because you have all this like additional context. They can make like PVs and make like, like Blue Archive has a full TV anime coming out this year. And like this just really works well for having every part of you in some capacity enraptured by it.
Well, it's the sugar to make the medicine go down. And I think that's the thing. In a way, it's like a
little bit, yeah.
You know the way like whenever Genshin Impact wasn't like generous enough in its banners or it's anniversary stuff, people are like, where I can taste the medicine now, or like I can taste the like horrible metallic tang of like metal in my mouth of the money and the gacha and the machine. Whereas whenever the people are getting loads of freebies and they have a nice emotional context, then they accept way more.
It's exactly emotional context, because Genshin's a great example of doing that basically perfectly. Honkai Star Rail does a good job of it as well. Arknights does a good job of it. I don't think PGR does. What's the new game? Kuro Games. They're the Punishing Grey Raven people. They're coming out with Wuthering Weights or some shit. I don't know what it's called. Something like that. And it's all of the, if you have some sort of story, you like the thing more. What a surprise. It's almost as if, the story of Arthas made Wrath of the Lich King playing feel better because you had all these contexts in your head for the game you were playing and the actions you were taking.
Yeah.
It's almost as if people engage with reality and real things and even fantasies as opposed to just purely abstractions.
No.
Interesting.
Don't make Thrall. Just buy Orc Champion in Raid Shadow Legends.
That's the most perfect comparison I think I've ever heard.
What makes E6 different?
Yeah. What's the difference between Thrall and Orc Champion number 5?
Or that horrendous Coca-Cola ad that was aping
World of Warcraft 2.
Man. Yeah. So there are some other topics that we've got up here. I'm trying to stack rank our topics and eliminate it's more.
We should just do a bit some week where we have like people voting on what we do.
Oh yeah, I just shoot them off in the
screen. Yeah, does any have a light gun? Just what's this retail GDKP misery continues? Shoot this, but not to not talk about it. Shoot it to get rid of it.
I don't talk. Yeah, should we? Yeah. What's this?
Yeah, we live in hell.
This is the situation where the way sometimes people talk about like streamer privilege. I may just maybe this is just called gilded privilege. So because we have played with the same group of people, and sometimes somebody leaves, somebody comes back, whatever. Since Nyalotha, when one of the guys joined our team. We didn't have an active raiding guild. He's like, oh, I'm GM of my guild, and we all we join up, and we've been playing since Nyalotha, and so not all, but so many of these really bad experiences that people have, like this GDKP misery that we're all going to learn about shortly, it just doesn't exist in our world because we play in a guild.
Yeah, we just log in and it's like, who needs this loot? I do because it's better for me because the computer says so. Okay, you can have it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
it's all very good.
Right, what is this? So apparently this is our inciting incident. We have a screenshot.
So 10 rollers for the Augury of the Primal Flame. Most have their best trinkets already equipped. The role winner rolled need, despite this trinket being worse for them. Obviously, they're allowed to roll on it because you're allowed to roll on these things.
Creative use of game mechanics, literally.
Yeah, so they rolled on it and went, I don't actually need this, but I have it. So, does anyone want to buy it? Does anyone want to buy the loot off me? And that auctioned up to 1 million gold, because it is good-ass trinket. So here's exactly Dakor's little thing. Players are essentially having to buy back the items other players rolled need on purely to make money, not because they needed it. It's just a perversion of what the need button is actually for, because this is pure greed.
Yeah.
That's it.
This is greed over need over greed.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's...
Wait, what? Lying about needing to do something as a way to mask greed? Oh, gee.
Good week for that. Ninjing.
I've not heard that word in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. People are like just constantly getting chase items and trying to sell them to the highest bidder. It's just GDKP.
I feel for these people because like they're just trying to enjoy the game.
Yeah. But turns out people, loads of
cross-realm gold trading completely opens the door to this.
Yep.
I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because we don't pug.
Yeah, you aren't arbitrarily limited to not being able to trade people.
And like, if I had to pug, I would not play World of Warcraft. I mean, I wouldn't raid.
I would really reluctantly, and I'd get curve and then never play the game again for the whole expansion.
Like, likelihood of quitting goes up massively.
We have had
an F?
We have had an F, and it seems to not be connected to anything happening. Just a random one. Lovely random.
It's Ybarra's assassins.
Yeah. Very nice of Ybarra's assassin to target the internet line and not us. But I suppose, you know. Which is, I believe we call that hubris. We call it hubris and or famous last words. But no, I think we are largely okay. Yep, small F, all good. Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. We're all good. Imagine if the stream cut comes back and you both are dead. I'll keep that in mind.
It's a good bit.
Well, maybe run
we should do that.
Yeah. Oh, man. That'd be fun. Get one of those, like, you know, those crazy
Matt,
people who
you're barred from banned.
If you had nailed that delivery, that would have been funny as hell.
You're barred. I can't do it.
Mike says you're barred from life. Perfect.
I got it.
Yeah, actually,
all those times that you've said Yashar have finally paid off.
Yasharaj.
Yasharaj.
Yeah.
Naz Jader.
So not to make too much fun around this, because this actually kind of does suck. Where it feels like the sheer amount of gold in the game has driven prices up crazy high, and it's just consistently went that way. We're like, okay, well, I'm gonna need a million gold for this trinket that I'll use for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks before I replace it in the next
$60.
Yeah.
Of token? No, it's $80 of tokens because of the premium. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll get that. You'll get that, and then you'll place it whatever time. Then you're, why does that person need the million gold? Like, why is this not selling for like 50k or like 60k? And you go massive inflation.
Just the 200 dragon riding world quests. Is that 200 dragon riding?
I have no idea.
I'm notoriously I am not able to do mental maths, and he is the complete opposite.
Yeah, I can do mental maths quite well when my brain works. But also I forget how much you got from
560.
Yeah, 500 something. Yeah.
No, 587. Why is 587 in my head? I don't know.
Hopefully that's not some weird number. No, it's not 6 digits. So yeah, that's here's stuff from the actual expert who literally plays the game. Group loot. Yeah, of course.
I like you fucking poser.
Yeah. He plays the game at a high level and engages with the community extremely deeply.
And on those things, I'll just do the announcement of the pre-announcement of the post-announcement of the hitherto and therefore. Yes, we're certainly trying to expand like content and sort of things that we're doing. And recently I've been thinking about like, what are other things I want to do in the game generally? And working with Dakor to like spruce up things we can do, especially as we move into War Within.
Spruce them up.
Spruce.
Fantastic.
Spruce them up, pine them down.
Yeah, so many chase items. Yeah, the chase items I think are one of like the... I'm not too sure if normal work easier. Maybe because you get more clears easier.
They are much easier.
Yeah, they are much easier.
Oh,
I'm saying I don't know how much this impacts this specifically.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of letting more people in a lot of the time. But the chase items I think is the important part, where there's so many items that are way too... Like, maybe not even in terms of literal strength, but perceived strength and meta-ness. People are like, I need this to be out a massive. I need this because it'll make my character very, very, very important and good and strong. Because it's the best trinket by X%. And it's the chase item, especially with rare and very rare kind of stuff. And then the gold, professions are interesting because I think it's always the way of professions. Professions are always the people who highly optimize like the advertising and their like game there actually do just monopolize the market in a bunch of ways, where you have like the amount of times where I'm like crafting something and all I'll do is I'll just say in chat, need someone to do this, and I'll get like 4 whispers and it'll be like from 4 different people, like, if you whisper my alt this, or if if you send it to my alt, I will do that for you for like 10k, 5k, whatever. I'm just like, that is nuts. The amount of people, I'm like, you have all of these. You've got all of the crafters completely sorted, and you're going to sit here all day and make a shit ton of money, which is different from people who like have like an hour a day to play and are a little bit professionally. So it's a little bit of like they can sort that out. Legacy capital is stacked up quite high. Yeah, that's another part of that, where it is just the game is that old and the gold cap is so high that you're like, yeah, what do? You just get out destroyed by anyone with money, which is always the way of it. And the lack of like the raw gold and stuff is like, I am poor all the time. Unless you specifically go out of your way to make World of Warcraft gold in a way that's not playing the game. You have to play at least some capacity of the metagame around it, which is completely fine. But the problem is when someone who's perpetually poor in game like me, because I just play the game a bit and don't metagame the economic part of it. I could certainly see myself now very interested in, not quite literally because I don't really want to, and I don't trust my luck enough to win any of these items to go GDKP. But I could imagine doing it and going, because if I did this and got a mil gold, if I did that for 200k, I'd be like, I'm sorted for a while compared to the usual, because I buy some stuff for raid. I buy my gems, I buy my enchants, I buy food for the guild now basically a lot of the time. I'm like, it's not super expensive, but doing this to me would be a way I could make money pretty quickly, because it's the obviously the trade of value between the person who's buying professions all day and me who can just hop in and get lucky, which is interesting. Certainly interesting how it's gotten this way, and it's like it's kind of perverse in the nature of what the loot rule is.
That's like there's been inflation. There's been inflation in gold, but that's disproportionately impacting different people because of how gold is like actually dispensed to people in the game.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, and you go, well, it sounds like a pretty
gold world quests.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty interesting and natural consequence, but you look at it and it kind of feels wrong, because the intent of the game design is you press the button if you need it, and if you win the role, you get it, as opposed to you can always get it if you have enough money, because of the trading stuff. It's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, the augment runes are pretty crazy. I like them to try no augment runes to see what it looks like for gold, but that would probably just make things worse somehow. Man, like to farm it, it's kind of fun. So it is interesting because
it's like I'm so unaware of this going on.
Yeah, it's like I don't like this at all. This seems so perverse to me.
Yeah,
I feel like there's just inherently a problem with it, but I can't exactly place exactly what my problem is beyond it feels wrong. It's like,
well, the problem is that's not the point.
Yeah,
that the problem is this doesn't feel like what gold should be for in the game design, but it's a result of the game design, so it sort of is, but it's just unintended.
There's also the gold buying, like the the RMT side of it as well, which is a problem. So I saw that was mentioned too. I feel like that feels worse to me.
That's why Ibarra's gone.
Yeah, that feels worse to me.
God, I'm an RMT cell.
That feels worse to me in Classic than it does in retail. Just because of the prevalence of gold and its importance there, comparatively. But it certainly feels a bit... it pales in comparison to Classic GDKP, of course. That's like the done thing there. But it is interesting.
Yeah, it's like you don't want it to become... Yeah, is this to become the norm? You don't want it to become like a cultural normal thing that goes on.
Yeah, like LFR 250. Sorry. What do you mean? Like, what?
Supply and demand.
Who's buying
supply and demand?
250,000 from
gold.
LFR.
Gold.
But it's an LFR item. It's shite.
No. The market has decided, man.
I see it constantly in LFR. Just last night, another fully geared Mythic Raider was needing gear and tokens. To be fair, having a load of Mythic Raiders in LFR would be pretty good. I'd be down for that. Like,
I just everyone's just trying to play LFR, and then Chad Thundercock rolls in, kills all the bosses, takes all the loot, and then sells it back to them.
No,
if that ain't gaming.
No. Oh, the LFR augury is normal. Okay, yeah, you're right. But imagine this. Imagine what would you call him? Chad Thundercocks? What you said?
Chad Thundercock.
So imagine you go into LFR as one of Chad Thundercock's brothers and to make a quick buck, and it's just the entire Thundercock family in there. And they destroy Farak in like 15 seconds.
Can we have a web series called The Thundercocks?
Everyone needs on it, and no one wants it. And they're like, "Fuck, shit, what do we do here?" Oh god, that would be fun. That'll be fun. So I don't know. Like,
oh man,
this seems horrible, but I don't know if I want Blizzard to like shit all over Group Loot or something to fix it. It's kind of an awkward problem. And like Dakwar's right here, where he says a guild's not the solution for everyone. It's like, this is obviously like guilds is great experience, but
true.
Pugging works for people who don't have time and stuff like that. So it is a little bit like scundering to have this happen.
Yeah.
A balanced druid won the trinket and sold it to a DH in all greens for 550k.
Yo.
That is absolutely fantastic. This is awful. That's enough like HC's Sark cloak. Yeah, not sure why we weren't able to trade items we needed for in Pugs in the first place. I mean, that's ultimately the problem. Right? The problem is
just
literally
enforce the sanctity of the need button.
Yeah, that's the actual solution. But then the problem is, how do you do that?
Matt.
Just do it. Just do it for it.
No. We can't get into the consultancy business if we keep on consulting like this.
Yeah. No, this is all just
supply and demand. We got to reduce the supply of our consulting.
It's all just free samples.
Everybody, please forget that. Right, let's set up the firm.
Yeah. Blizzard executives, if you're watching this, please DM me if you would pay us for consulting, because we're very good at our jobs. Thank you. I need more money to wheel and gacha. Thank you.
No. Oh.
It's fine. I would never.
Look what they're doing to our boy.
Did you know? It would cost 300 quid from 0 gems to reach Pity in Blue Archive. I'm never willing that shit.
Sorry, so many words and concepts just happened at once. 300 quid for one 5-star
to hit. No, from 1 3-star to hit Pity. Yeah, on a banner. There's 200. It's 200 rolls to hit Pity.
And how often is banner?
Every couple of weeks.
So that's 300 every.
If you were doing it, if you weren't playing the game otherwise to get currency,
yeah,
and you could only buy the most expensive bundles because there's limited ones that cost cheaper, but you can only buy them a couple times a month, which is also dire as hell. But yeah, it's expensive. I don't know how people bother to do it unless they're on high 6-figure tech pro wages. No.
Wasn't that what this whole thing is? World shindig is optimized around.
Yeah, it really is.
Man, okay, so that's going on.
Yeah,
right.
It sure is.
That sucks. Enforce the sanctity of the need. Just you can't
trade if you win it in a need roll. You can't trade it unless you're in a guild. Fuck.
Damn it. No.
No, you can't trade it if you rolled need on it. There you go. Guilds can organize around it.
Oh, yeah, guilds can organize around it. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, let guilds solve the problem. Fix this. Easy done. Easy done. Next problem.
It'll annoy us, but will be solved.
Yes. Yes, so there's that. Huge bot issues. Well, you know what? Oh my God. I've been clickbaited.
I actually literally I genuinely had a little bit of flashback saying Alarm Bot.
Matt, what is going on in Zarlek Cavern? I haven't been there.
Bots, apparently?
I think Night Stalker's been talking about that.
Yeah.
A few times. And yeah. Okay, well, right, what's going on? People are noticing a troubling trend in the Zarlek Cavern. They witness an army of characters following each other, taking very sharp 90-degree turns, then all dive bobbing down to mine a node, and they all mount back up, and they're ready for the next node. What incredible teamwork and cooperation that we are seeing from all of these characters in this secondary world. I think that's amazing. Yes, so this is bots. This is bots. I see this has been...
Why, though?
I see this has been spread around the Reddit. And, of course, what do the bots have? Numbers. What can they do with their numbers? They can report you.
That's so crazy. My bot has push notifications that get sent to Discord whenever a player targets me. Any more than 20 to 30 targets today, I'll let the bot stay logged out for a few days. Interesting.
Yeah.
I murdered these for 30 minutes straight and got banned.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That person griefed 30 paying subscribers.
Yes, you know what? Yeah,
that's high crime. Yeah, high crime.
I really desperately, deeply hope that that no one in Blizzard actually says that as some point of principle.
Oh, no, I don't. No.
I hope no one lets that pass.
This is a magnificent video entitled "Damn Bots." Wee.
Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, you know what? Synchronizing your bots, even with dragon riding, is a game feature.
Yeah.
Props, writer of bots. You've probably written a good bot, I suppose.
Yeah. Just the arm race continues 20 years later.
Yeah.
People want things in this virtual world, and let's bot the shit out of it.
Yeah. And of course, Blizzard, they do ban waves.
Yeah.
This is literally just an ongoing... This is the Everwar. I'm sure everybody's already forgotten about Immortals of Avium, and therefore...
Everyone forgot about that game so hard. Jack Avium is the most useless character of all time.
Wait, oh no, okay, for a second I thought he was called Jack Avium.
No, I'm just doing the modern person thing of using the game name as a surname, which I think is fantastic.
Aiden Watchdog.
Exactly, yeah, it's perfect.
Whoa, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's funny sometimes too. But yes. So.
Oh wow, yeah, look at this.
Jeez, oh.
And these are account actions, so this is all subs.
This is a lot of money. This is a lot of money.
That's a lot of beans.
Yeah, look like they threw 270
multiplied by $15.
So they're throwing like
throwing
like 1.7, 1.8 mil in subs in the bin. No, not. It's way more than that. What am I talking about? It's like 3.5. Yeah. $3.5 million in subs. Just like, yeah.
This is why that's the problem. The bots are only going to be buying monthly. So they need to make these, spread the ban waves out so the bots get 6-month subs instead. And then make the 6-month sub mount slightly better for gathering. So then you do that. All the bots, you kill them all.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I love a real economy. Fantastic.
They're not, because bots will buy new accounts with new money and pay even more. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, also that's true. Stolen accounts are bought with stolen credit cards as well. Like, obviously that. But stolen credit card money, if it's not charged back, still real.
If
yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up.
That's fascinating. I mean, it's just the case of this has always been the way. This has always been and will always be the way. It's just really frustrating because when you can see it but can't action it is the issue. I guess for a lot of people. Like in that sucker they're saying, you know, the same bots you saw 8 months later. Like it clearly did not been banned then, despite clearly been botting. So I guess if you had like you wouldn't want to hire someone to do this, not on Blizzard wages. But at the same time, if you went, hello, remember when they had GMs before they got rid of them all? Imagine if they still had GMs and they said, hello, GMs, we have got an idea for you. What if you go to Zarlek Cavern and look for bots and delete them? Like,
insane.
What if you just do that? So, and obviously you go, well, you can't have, you know.
I'm just thinking about these.
Yeah, like 270k. That's going to be all of their automated things because they, as far as I have heard, they do take this stuff very seriously and have serious teams in this. So you're like,
oh yeah.
But at the same time, if you had someone show up and go, just spend like 10 minutes in Zarlek Cavern, leave a character logged in, and just like alt tab on your lunch break and just be like delete. People might start to feel like it doesn't look as bad. Or if you had some sort of service where, you know, you could manually action on feedback like this, and you had a GM sitting there going, hello, could you send, like, if you want to send me screenshots and like timestamps, I'll go sort it out. And even if that's someone's job to be a customer service agent for this kind of stuff, just go, oh yeah, sort that, no worries. Sort that. Oh, bots, sort that. And then you go, it's a small thing, but I guess that's the ultimate problem with like customer service agents and things. You go, have someone to just give it a wee bit of a, you know, there's the, how do I put this? Like, you might have a very good automated cleaning service that cleans everything. But sometimes, you know, there's like, there's a leaf falling there, just go sort that out a wee bit. And just take someone 5 minutes and go, I'll just brush it over. I think that's kind of it, a little bit.
Far beyond the days of Glider.
Fairlin, that's an idea.
Oh.
I'll keep you in mind if we need employees for the consultancy. How about every bot that's detected to be a bot has all the materials it farms shadow marked as botted and it won't show up in auctions for other people? That's good. That's good.
Whoa.
That's good.
Shadow resources.
Yeah, shadow banning the materials they farm.
Just create antimatter, put it in WoW. Done.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's very good. Bots make most of their gold from farming raw gold. I mean, obviously a lot of them do that, but obviously here they're farming resources. I remember the videos of Classic, the rogues running in and out of BRD. That was crazy.
Oh, like pickpocketing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just automated pickpocketing.
I remember pickpocketing is like a fantasy. Like a thing you can do in your character.
Yeah.
Actually, they did a whole little thing around that in Legion.
They did,
the troll dude. That was cool.
Yeah, Legion was cool and good.
Yeah. It's wild. So. I think with where we are, this is probably where we should sort of just thinking about the time and this being a pretty big week. This is probably where we should bring things to a close. You have posted like a lot of content for free though, over with Ghost. So if people want continued, we do have Warcraft 2 stuff.
Yes, Warcraft 2: The Second War, parts 1 and 2 are up there now. 3 and 4 will be going up on Monday. We'll record them, and that'll be. How do I shill these effectively?
Also, part 1's like a free post. So,
yeah, part 1 is up there for free. It's actually the same post, but members will be able to see the second part 2 because you can do that in Ghost. Little feeding things, pretty cool.
Dope.
But yeah, it's a lore walking where me and Jared talked about the second war. We're talking about Warcraft 2 basically, and I think it's an interesting one because we saw an awful lot of where Warcraft 2 kind of actually I was going to tell this earlier on stream and I didn't finish what I was saying. So, Chris Metzen. End of story. No, Chris Metzen joined them as an artist during Warcraft 1. And I don't know exactly how much work of his was in Warcraft 1, but I know like a lot of his like sketches and stuff, Warcraft 2. The reason he's a narrative designer was not because he came in and like was hired as a narrative man and did a load of narrative things. He was an artist. And he just wrote notes about context while working on Warcraft 1 and like started Warcraft 2. He was like, what if between the games this happened? What if between the games this happened? And it was all his like ideas to kind of give the world a little bit more life, to like put context into his art and his ideas. And apparently someone I can't remember if it was someone else on the team at his level or around that saw the notes and brought them to management, or just management saw the notes. I think was it Alan Adam or someone along those lines? So I'm not sure my timelines here exactly, but saw the notes, read them, and went, Chris, you're now our narrative designer because these are sick. Enjoy. And then he ended up like writing all of the background with, you know, the Warcraft 2 has a very nice manual, and Warcraft 3 is a great manual. You know the way Warcraft 2's, well, obviously the podcast in this, the base campaigns were kind of just campaigns. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff happens in them, but it was fairly a continuation of orcs versus humans. The real meat was in the background. The real meat was in the orcs have clans now, and all of the clans are most of them are kind of the same they are today, except for the few differences that are fun. There's all the human kingdoms, like the 7 kingdoms, and them becoming the alliance was all in the manual. It wasn't really super in the game. And then you get to Beyond the Dark Portal, the expansion.
Oh boy.
And you can tell exactly where they went. Chris Metzen, your work is now in the game in a big way. Because all of the TBC stuff, all of the Draenor stuff, all of Trallian and Deliria, that was all clearly like that was all made after Chris got his like promotion. Because it's where all of like the cosmic lore of TBC and like World of Warcraft and the Draenor stuff, the Orc stuff actually came through. Like there's no hint of it in game, but in the Warcraft 2 manual, that's when we learn about the genocide of the Draenor. And how intense that was.
Yeah. How
genuinely horrible it was. And like the true nature of like the orcs under Gul'dan were kind of shown there. So we talked about that for like an hour and a half across the 2 parts. About the human campaign, the orc campaign. And also why the Alterac are cunts. And also why colors are fun, actually. Colors are fun. You know why there's 7 kingdoms?
Yeah.
Because
the 7 just
because they had
colors.
Because they had 7
team colors.
They had 7 team colors of Warcraft 1 for humans. Same with orcs. Oh, that's why they had clans, because they had one for each clan.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. So we kind of we kind of dig into all that stuff and talk about it. So you can go check that out.
Yes. So that I presume is pinned in the thing. On that, if you want to look through our notes for the layoff situation, if you just like want to read that yourself, that's also those are up as free posts as well over on bellular.ghost.io. Also, we can fix the URL thing. So,
oh yes, yeah. So we still not gotten that email yet.
I should check that.
Yeah, I needed that because if that hasn't sent through, it's clearly a problem. So I need to talk to Squarespace with that.
That would be an F. But yes, so that is Big Good Yum. Overall, we are thinking about, planning, making things better as we move into new year. As for like Warcraft itself, like I think my confidence actually is pretty high.
Big time.
Is big time pretty high. So we're making plans. We're trying to make things better. There's a lot that I'm excited about across the different channels. Playing around with the Elgato teleprompter today. That was fun. And I think it might be able to make our videos quite a bit better. And I also think it might be able to accelerate just new stuff downstairs too.
Nice.
So trying to work on plans, yes, no, we're still all cooking. I know like WoW content cadence has been a little bit soft, like video wise from us. Some of that's just been like getting some things off the ground. And the news cycle, honestly, has been completely insane. So yeah, there's just been a lot to do, but we're making really good headway. And even when I was a little behind in recording stuff, the team were working on like improvements to edit assets. They were building some new stuff around War Within, doing some experiments and stuff. So. Big picture, I think stuff's going in a good direction for us. I think one of my next things I want to work out how we can launch as a podcast loading screen.
Ah, yes.
But that'll be a whole thing because I don't want to just be like, let's go do it. No, I want it to be sustainable and good and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, trying to make things better Because I suppose, I don't know, just keeps it fun, you know? Keeps it fun doing it differently, trying to like, okay, you know, it's not just a video. We're gonna try. Actually, we have an internal video feedback system now that Matt's been working on.
Yes, we do. Actually, I'm supposed to. We'll start that next week, but basically, it's the whole thing of we're going to talk about how our videos could be better.
Yes,
like literally, like make it a part of the process. And go, well, what are we not doing? What are we not doing? What are we doing? What's good? What's not so good? Can we like fully improve this? Can we have a much better time of literally like core improvements on content? Because we do kind of focus more on concepts and leave kind of execution up to individuals. So we're not kind of like, what if we just sit down and go, mate, that was shite, or that was class, do that more. Literally that, because that's
it. Matt's forum has 2 votes. It's just header, mate, that was class shite.
Yo, that would have been way better, I think, actually. No, so that's kind of that that weird how do I say it? That weird I guess systematizing things that kind of you notice aren't supernatural or whatever else. You kind of need a little bit of the will to power of existing things. Like, because things don't happen unless someone makes them happen. And in a kind of weird way of like, the idea to me almost comes from, how do I put this? You know that it only takes like one person with a decent amount of will and, you know, are willing to make whatever sacrifices. All it takes is one person to make profound change. Be that like accidental through like somehow just like, oh, I've just made an amazing game. Like Blizzard just been showing up and going, we've just revolutionized video games by releasing Warcraft 3, or like Warcraft in the first place, the RTS, or StarCraft, or doing Battle.net, or World of Warcraft. Okay, they did it quite a bit actually, but you know what I mean? It's like that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, you kind of need a little bit of that energy, do stuff. Like, all right, let's actively will things to be better.
No, we're just being serious about it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, that's how things are. Oh man, I'm going to sleep well tonight. I got really early to meet like a boiler engineer, but now I have heating.
Holy shit! Nice.
Hot running water.
Crazy.
Amazing.
Good man.
Yeah. How did I not get that sorted sooner? Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I know the feel like.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just working through the to-do list. So that's basically what the crack is. There is plenty more if you want to check out the stuff that we've got on Ghost, which I'm sure Matt's put in the pinned comment. So yeah, the Second War stuff is very cool. I definitely want to do more. I'm also thinking about. Okay, no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we're thinking about and we're all very excited about, and yes, we will see how those go. I will talk about things whenever we are just ready to actually say, hello, here's the thing. Because that's the right way to do that, I think. So definitely this has been a rough week. This has been a funky week. Obviously so much more so for everybody who's been impacted.
Yeah, I mean, like
by this.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever actually literally said it, but if you've been impacted by this, that really sucks. We're very sorry to hear. We're very sorry this had to happen. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, and it's all too easy for it just to be abstracted.
I mean,
that's a bunch of numbers.
That's exactly what happened then, right? It was someone deleted 1,900 people off a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
that's what happened. They didn't upend the lives of 1,900 individuals.
And like, if
they
people,
just made a number different.
Like some of the people I like hung out with at BlizzCon, it's like multiple gone now.
Yeah, that's mad.
So that's
that's the annoying part. It's like you see 1,900 people, you go, well, that sucks, and then you think, oh, but the one person I spoke to won't be there next time. Fuck, that's the bit that really gets you. And then you kind of imagine being in that team. And there was a tweet from someone earlier on saying like how half their team was gone, and it's so like, I genuinely
imagine coming into the office
like,
after that.
Like I can't imagine that. Like I cannot imagine just coming in like here one day and it's just like, where's everybody? They're gone now. What do you mean? They're gone now. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously one of those thoughts is, well, man, that sucks. That's horrible. I'll miss them. And then another thought is, do I have to do their work? And then that's a problem in and of itself. Like,
that's weird with this because like everyone just feels so freaking powerless.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you say to a friend whenever they've? So you're like, I'm sorry, you're thinking of them, but like, it's. Yeah, no, it's. Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where things have been. When you see what the future holds, I think ultimately, game brilliant, developers brilliant, larger structures involved in all of this quite significantly less brilliant. So I suppose here's to Mike Ybarra's next hyper growth opportunity. It's a bit mouth vomit, isn't it?
Yeah, a wee bit. Yeah, a wee bit.
So, yeah, I mean, man, that's it. There we go. Probably time for us to bounce.
Yeah, just before we go, Florin asked for a visual novel recommendation for the weekend.
Oh.
So I had to parse. Go do that too. I had to parse a little bit for something that I would feel comfortable recommending. It's not a bit weird, but I remembered something that was very near and dear to my heart as a teenager. That's Planetarian: The Reverie of a Little Planet, or Chisana Hoshi no Yume. Planetarian HD is available on Steam for $6.99. I don't know if I'd recommend buying it because I don't know if that's a great port, but you can do a little bit of research and find. It's one of Key's, I don't want to say one of the earlier ones because it was 2004, but it's very nice. It's a couple hours long, and it's very comfy. Very comfy and also very fucking sad. So there you go. Planetarian's good.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's the crack. Gonna go home and oddly enough, deal with the impacts of other game industry problems, just not related to this one.
Yes.
Oh, it's all a bit crazy. But, we can only control what we can control. So, in times like this, it's, I suppose, worth remembering of those around you and what positive impact you can tangibly have on those instead of the default of, there's so much noise and the doom scrolling and all of those things. Maybe we don't always have the power to fix things, but we do have the power to make things better within our sort of limited scope of control.
And then if everyone did that, the world would be great. Isn't that the really annoying part? Like, I'm so powerless, except for this tiny amount of power that directly has knock-on effects for other people and their power. Fuck.
Yeah, there is what we can all just sustainably do in our own little way every day, and that's kind of what that is.
Indeed.
Have as great a weekend as you can. Obviously, for 1,900 people, it's not really going to be like that. But yeah, we will be back next week. To go to the actual the stories and the stuff that we do actually all love. We do have two seriously fantastic lore videos coming up. Like as in the next two immediate WoW uploads, those are really great. And after the content meeting that I had with Jared on Wednesday, he's got 3 videos, or he's off researching in 3 directions. I've got 1 or 2, and we've got really good stuff coming for you. So I hope you enjoy that when the time comes. Okay, good night, farewell. Check out Lore Walking for the Second War, and while we're on the topic of the Second War, there's also Chronicles of the Second War, which is a really amazing fan project that I think is also definitely worth you guys checking out.
Excellent.
There we go. All right. Well, till next week. What does that mean, till next week? People say you too. What does that mean?
Until next week, implications.
Until next week.
Yes.
Implications.
Or it could be implications until next week, such as, we will see you later. No, that's not right. We won't see you until next week. We won't see you until next week, or until next week, be good, be well.
I like that one. Yeah, we'll go with that.
I think I stole that from James. I think James says, be good, be well.
He does say, yeah.
He does, yes. So yes, until next week, be good and be well.